Dry. Temperatures back towards the lower 80s until we head towards the late afternoon. Early evening hours could see some isolated chances of showers and storms. More chances of scattered showers into Sunday. Then Monday, temperatures towards mid to lower 80s, looking drier for much of the region. From the First Alert 4 Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Chance Scott.
Let's get moving, St. Louis. This is Mike Ferguson in the morning on News Talk STL.
Well, good morning to you. I hope you had a fantastic Memorial Day weekend. Was there news over the weekend? Yeah, there was. And we will be digging into all of that. And I want to know what you think as well as we kind of get going back into it. You know what? 2 4-day work weeks for most of us. Not bad. Not bad. I'm just saying. All right. But thanks for making News Talk STL part of this Tuesday. Interesting development that's happening that may catch you by surprise. We heard a lot about Planned Parenthood being defunded in the reconciliation and the One Big Beautiful Bill and all the things that have happened over the last year. But did you know that Planned Parenthood is set to start getting hundreds of millions of dollars in taxpayer money again coming up here in just a couple of months, unless Congress does something about that as well? Fred Lucas covered the White House for years for the Daily Signal. Now he's an investigative reporter for them, and he joined us late last week to talk about Planned Parenthood being in line to get that money again, but also the fact that they really, really, really don't want to let us know where the money that they have received has gone and where the money they would get will go. Here's that conversation with the Daily Signal's Fred Lucas.
You know, Planned Parenthood really does not want us knowing where all the money's going.
Imagine that.
Yeah, imagine that. Daily Signal all over this with Fred Lucas, who now is a senior investigative reporter. Fred's covered the White House for such a long time, and he joins us right now. And Fred, the headline just caught my eye, which it's supposed to do. Doge panel turns up heat on Planned Parenthood. And among the Planned Parenthoods that you referenced are the ones near us here in St. Louis, Planned Parenthood of Illinois, which has been really, really active because we're looking at basically where is all the money going, and are they just being obstructionist and not wanting the facts to get out there, put aside the actual spending policies? It seems like there's a lot of obstruction to just getting to what's true.
Yeah, this is an inquiry that started last June. So for almost a year now, Planned Parenthood has obstructed, they've just kind of ignored Congress' inquiries about how they're spending federal money and whether it's going to abortions or quote-unquote gender-affirming care for minors. And that is something, the law does not allow for funds to be used that way. For years, and it's kind of been an ongoing issue with Planned Parenthood federal funding as to whether they are just commingling those funds and of course, money is always fungible. That Planned Parenthood has always said, well, we use it for other healthcare issues, even though everyone knows they are the nation's largest abortion providers. So that's always been sort of an unbelievable stretch for most people that none of that money has ever gone to abortion.
Right. Well, yeah, without a doubt. I mean, and in this case here, you've got basically a subcommittee from the House Oversight Committee. It's referred to as kind of a Doge thing. So really, you've got a subcommittee that's looking at, okay, let's take those principles that Doge was so hot with for a few minutes. And there's the obstruction, but then there's, like you're referencing, Fred, you're referencing that, wait a minute, we have been told this, but we're getting awful close. We're following the smoke to the fire to find out that, no, we are being misled and money could be being used illegally. I mean, how close are we to getting that confirmation? Because I'll tell you right now, the follow-up question is, we've been told Planned Parenthood's been defunded, but that's only temporary. Our tax dollars are about to go back to them, as I understand it.
Yeah, that's correct. The One Big Beautiful Bill, that did defund Planned Parenthood, and that was something that President Trump famously delivered on the many other Republicans had only talked about for decades. However, that's about to snap right back into place, and Congress is, as is often the case, maybe more interested in their holiday vacations than really addressing that and ensuring that funding doesn't just snap back into place, because the the defunding of Planned Parenthood from the One Big Beautiful Bill that passed last year, that was only for one single budget year.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think a lot of people are going to be surprised to hear that just now, Fred, because there was a lot of celebration. Planned Parenthood finally defunded. Tax dollars are not going there. And we must have missed the fine print to say, oh, but they're going to start getting the money again.
Well, right. I mean, every budget process affects 1 year effectively, but yeah. I mean, certainly there was potentially more celebration than warranted for that. Mm-hmm. But it is a start. I mean, 1 year, that's a start, and that's better than what we've seen in the past.
Okay, so in the digging into where the money's going, and by the way, the article is called Doge Panel. Let's see here. Let me scroll up there, make sure I get it right. Doge Panel turns up heat on Planned Parenthood abortion gender treatments. You can find it at dailysignal.com. So basically what we're looking at is 11 separate Planned Parenthood affiliates, including Illinois, right here in the St. Louis area. They've received questionnaires regarding the funding. How much information have they been willing to share with lawmakers, particularly Congressman Burchett?
Nothing really. This is a subcommittee within the House Oversight Committee, and it's called it's the Subcommittee on Delivering on Government Efficiency. So Doge still lives on Capitol Hill, and looking in and conducting these types of investigations. But since June 2025, they have not responded. The initial inquiry was to the main Planned Parenthood, which should have this type of information. The primary national Planned Parenthood and the president, Alex McGill, did not respond. Then the subsequent letters were sent to local affiliates, and they're also just ignoring this. They ignored our inquiry as well, which wasn't a big surprise. Right. On this, they did put out a blue sky statement, not on this specifically, but just recently on gender issues. So blue skies is where they usually make their big statements, which is a lot of people know blue sky as being Twitter for crazy people, but. I thought what they said was sort of interesting. Planned Parenthood posted on International Day Against Homophobia, Transphobia, biophobia. We want to be clear: your gender identity is not up for debate. You deserve the right to live freely and fully, just as you are. I think maybe both sides might agree that you should live just as you are, but on the gender issue, but that's another story.
Yeah, we got a very different definition of as you are. Exactly.
As you are, right? Yeah, as you biologically are.
Yeah, we're living reality. In other words, we're visiting with Fred Lucas from the Daily Signal. Okay, so what's next? What do we need to be watching? What do we need to potentially be contacting lawmakers and pressuring them regarding this? Because Planned Parenthood, when they have been funded by the federal government all these years, we're not talking about pocket change. We're talking about a significant amount of taxpayer dollars.
Right. Yeah. I mean, we talk. I mean, really hundreds of millions over the decades and so forth. But they say it's for various women's health services. I think the question has always been out there. Aren't there other avenues if you want to fund cervical cancer research and so forth, or examinations for women? There are other places, rural health clinics and so forth, that could do a lot of those services that don't provide abortions. But rather, Democrats have insisted, and basically it's one of their key lobby groups, Democrats have always insisted that money has to go to Planned Parenthood, and that Planned Parenthood can never be defunded. And at the same time, they insist, but this money never goes to abortion.
Yeah, which is nonsense. I mean, other than abortion, you could get every other service that they claim they provided. Exactly. Many times they don't provide. You can get those at any pregnancy resource center, or you can get those at almost every minute clinic in the pharmacy, much less community clinics as well. I mean, other than abortion, everything that they say that they need to be funded for, it is available in multiple places in almost every community.
Right. I mean, if they want to give a CVS minute clinic, I'm sure CVS would probably be glad to take that federal funding. They probably don't need it, but right. I mean, this is a Planned Parenthood. Planned Parenthood makes most of their money from abortion. Most of their and that's kind of their golden ticket. Always has been. They've expanded into this quote unquote gender affirming care issues of sex changes for minors and so forth. So that's kind of a new area for them, but it's in the same ideological mold.
Yeah, exactly. All right. Once again, Doge panel turns up heat on Planned Parenthood abortion, gender treatment at dailysignal.com. It was written by Fred Lucas, who is with us right now. Fred, last minute or so that we've got, we've obviously tagged you on our social media as well. You and I did an interview, gosh, it's been a year and a half ago or so, with a book that was out, and that's still relevant today. Remind people where they can find that.
Oh, yeah. Please check it out. The Myth of Voter Suppression, and it is quite relevant among a lot of the issues being debated now with the SAVE Act, voter ID, even redistricting on some level, which I know was affecting Missouri, and I have a story coming out on that here today or tomorrow, actually. Please check out The Myth of Voter Suppression. It's Amazon, Barnes & Noble, wherever you buy books.
Yeah, absolutely. And we've already tagged on social media, so dailysignal.com, I guess, would be the best way to follow your work, just right to the website, right?
Yeah, and you can also follow me on Twitter. Still the same Twitter handle, Fred Lucas WH.
All right, as you know, we got a lot of news to cover, a lot of ground to cover here. 314-912-1019. This is 1019 and 94.1 News Talk STL.
No big old corporate lib AM station telling us what to say here. Conservative talk for St. Louis. This is News Talk STL at 1019, 94.1, and always streaming at newstalkstl.com.
Missouri's laws are clear. Unregulated gaming devices are illegal. Companies have been telling businesses that gray market machines are legal. That's wrong. Don't be scammed. If you have these devices at your business, you could be subject to criminal and civil penalties. Unplug and remove these devices today.
If you've been approached to host illegal gaming machines, call now 800-523-1434 or visit ago.mo.gov. Sponsored by the Attorney General's Office.
Hey, Jamie Ullman here for Window World. Did you know that Window World offers a lifetime warranty that covers all parts, glass breakage, and labor? They are one of the only 2 replacement windows with the Good Housekeeping seal of approval. Window World St. Louis has been owned and operated by a group of born and raised St. Louis residents for more than 23 years, and now Window World is offering 36 months same as cash financing with approved credit. Call them today, 800-GET-WINDOWS for a free in-home, no-pressure estimate. That's Window World at 800-GET-WINDOWS.
Democracy is loud, and on Tuesday, June 2nd, you can be right in the middle of it. News Talk STL is bringing the St. Charles County Executive Primary Debate to Lindenwood University in St. Charles at the J. Scheidegger Center for the Arts. No reservations, no tickets, just show up. Can't make it in person? Catch every word live on News Talk STL from 7 to 8:30 p.m. The St. Charles County Executive Primary Debate on June 2nd. Brought to you by the St. Charles County Republican Central Committee, Mid-Rivers News Magazine, Lewis & Clark's Pachyderms Club, and the Hammond Institute for Free Enterprise at Lindenwood University.
We've been here 30 years, 30 Christmases in this house, and we have the traditions that most families have.
That's Terry talking about her experience with Rhino Shield ceramic coating.
We did Rhino Shield 14 years ago, and the house still looks the same as the first day. Rhino Shield really worked with me to help me get just the right nice soft yellow, and it's 14 years later, and it's the same color.
The main reason Terry called Rhino Shield is because it's backed by its 25-year transferable warranty.
It just sounded wonderful that we could have the house coated with Rhino Shield and not have to worry about it again for 25 years.
Take it from Terry. Give Rhino Shield a call now for a free evaluation. 877-25-RHINO. 877-25-RHINO. Or visit 877-25rhino.com.
There have been neighbors that have come by and said, "Did you just have your house painted?" Because they wanted to know who the contractor was. And I said, "No, it's actually Rhino Shield."
877-25rhino.com.
Hi, I'm Dr. Alan Link, owner of the Dental Link. You've heard ads about teeth in a day, but did you know that you will be chewing on plastic, acrylic teeth? Here at the Dental Link, we can give you porcelain crown and bridge teeth utilizing mini dental implants that function much more like real teeth at about half the cost. Plus, mini dental implants are less invasive, less painful, and your recovery time is much shorter. Give us a call at 314-794-6464 or simply visit us today at thedentallink.com.
Get up, St. Louis. It's Mike Ferguson in the morning.
Good morning. Get up, crew early birds. This is producer Jerome and Billy Crow joining us today to fill in for Mike while he's away. How are you doing this morning?
Loving life, man. I'm excited. It's Friday. We got a holiday weekend ahead, and I'm hanging out with some of my best bros today.
Absolutely. It's not just Friday. It's Flashback Friday.
Flashback Fridays.
Which means today's music will all be 80s themes. And we got some pretty good requests today. A lot of protest songs. Somebody emailed me or during the week, said, I'm just kind of feeling in a rebellious mood. What are some good songs for protesting? I'm like, well, Flashback Friday, it's 80s. Did you submit your request?
I didn't. I was thinking through it yesterday. I was listening, and I was like, man, what is a good protest song? And we talked about, like, we're not gonna take it. And I was thinking, 99 Red Balloons.
Ooh.
Like, I wasn't like, was that 80s or was that before? But I mean, that's, it is a protest song.
So I'm glad you said that because it is an 80s song. It's from 1983. The German version got so popular. The English version came out in 1984. It makes it. I needed one last song. You just chose.
Yes.
You just chose the last protest song of Flashback Friday.
Now here's the question: is it the English version or the German version?
Which one would you like to hear?
Well, I'm good either way.
Let's keep it English.
All right.
I'm sure people would appreciate that. We do have a lot coming up today. We have a couple guests. We have Nick Schroer, flamethrower Senator Nick Schroer, coming up at 6:35. We have one of your guests, Bob Tullock.
Yeah, county councilman from District 7 out there in Jefferson County, talking about data center regulations.
Oh, data centers, huh?
Yeah, well, I don't know if anybody of our listeners have heard this, but hey, I'm getting recalled too over data centers. It's not just Festus recalls.
Oh boy, well that'll be an interesting conversation because it does sound like, and I'm full disclosure, I'm as of right now, I should say, I am not a big advocate for data centers.
Sure.
I could always be convinced with a compelling argument, but it has been very interesting seeing how Festus has been handling all this. I mean, they threw the baby out with the bathwater almost, and then they're out for more blood, it seems. So.
Yeah, very literally, because even the guy that voted against the data centers, they voted out. They threw out the baby with the bathwater. It's pretty crazy. There's blood in the water, and they're going everything they can right now.
So we will have that discussion coming up at 7:05 with Bob Tullock. Then we have Stacey Matthews, a.k.a. Sister Toldja from RedState, one of Susie's good friends and somebody that we love to have on quite often. She's always got something very interesting to talk about. So right now we're actually missing our beloved Smoozy Q. She's out and about doing something in the background. So it's just you and me, buddy. What are we going to talk about?
Man, we can talk about anything. I heard you guys talking on the radio the other day about the Thomas Massie, and I'm a pretty big Thomas Massie fan. I'm, Rand Paul, those guys, very libertarian. I mean, you and I talk with our libertarian streaks that run through us, and it's interesting to see how much sway an outgoing lame duck president has in a primary election. It's pretty crazy.
Wow. Lame duck president. You're predicting he's going to be lame duck for the rest of this?
Well, what I mean, he's not running for re-election. Right now his heir apparent's got to run for re-election, and so, and so it's not exactly like he's out there trying to get reelected, right? So for him to be able to have that much pull to say, hey, I still want this guy. I mean, again, I keep saying this time and time again. It's Andrew Jackson 2.0. Andrew Jackson affected the Democrat Party way beyond his presidency and shaped politics for a long time. And I think Trump's still that same populist candidate that does that. So.
Yeah, I've heard a lot of discussion about the future of MAGA once President Trump's term comes to an end, and there are some people that have been in politics longer than I am, so maybe I'm just naive, but the direction that they see it going is that it's going to eventually come to a fizzle, and just kind of like the Tea Party, the Occupy movement, once the leaders or once the movement itself kind of simmers down a little bit, then they usually just sort of scatter and reform in other ways. I'm not convinced, though. I think that MAGA is going to continue to have that sort of cultural relevance, and President Trump, if either Rubio or Vance gets into office, will still have that sort of sway behind the scenes.
Well, it's interesting. I agree with that 100%. And, history, repeating and rhyming, Andrew Jackson and his associates, they ended up running the Democratic Party in such a particular direction that eventually you get the offshoot of the Whigs and eventually the Republicans, right? And so the idea of them being able to continue this and it not necessarily fizzling out because it's so populist, and perhaps moving things forward to reorganize maybe a different party. I mean, that's crazy talk, right? But you never know. I think it could have wheels.
Absolutely. And I'm with you 100%, by the way, on Massey. I've probably been the most vocal supporter of Thomas Massey on the daytime stations, at least. And I'm still trying to wrap my head around how we should interpret it, because obviously we are in Missouri. He was Kentucky.
Right.
I lived in Kentucky. I love the people of Kentucky. I know people that personally that were very good friends of mine that live in his district that were like, we have no idea how this happened. We were certain that Massey was going to win. I don't know if you've seen the videos yet of the concession speech audience versus Ed Galerian's, we call him Special Ed, but Ed Galerian's celebration party.
Oh, yeah.
Basically, nobody showed up to celebrate with Ed.
Wow.
There was not but when you see the concession speech, I mean, that entire room was packed. So what, in your opinion, you were obviously an elected official.
Yeah.
So what should we take from Massey's defeat here?
Don't be complacent, right? I think that's the key, right? Because Thomas Massey's folks, like you said, a lot of them are like, I don't know how he's not going to win, right? And yet there is, when you can get a small group very fired up and passionate about something, again, like trying to oust an incumbent, it could have wheels, especially if the incumbent's friends are complacent. I mean, we've seen that happen in the city limits of Arnold several times, right? And the same thing in Festus. A lot of folks say, well, these people that are anti-data center, they're a very vocal minority. Well, great, but those that are for the data center and support the council, then they didn't come out and vote then, because if they did and they were the majority, that they would have won. So complacency on folks that are similar minded, just because you think your guy's the guy, doesn't mean you shouldn't get out there and vote, and not just vote, but advocate and support him, right? Or her.
Are you victim blaming right now? You're blaming the voters and not the.
Yeah.
A lot of people are taking this as a sign that you can just, if you have enough money to throw at something, you just get your way.
Well, I mean, that's one way to look at it, but at the same time, money doesn't. In Jefferson County, everybody talks when it comes to countywide races, like, you got to have signs. Well, guess what? Signs don't vote.
Ooh.
Dollars don't vote. People vote, and people are, yes, they're swayed by dollars, but, I've heard this, there's a gentleman in Jefferson County, I don't agree with a lot of his politics, but he always says you get the government you deserve.
Ooh.
And I think that's true. And if you're complacent, you're not out there voting, you're not out there, not just voting, but supporting your candidate with dollars, with door knocking, with phone calls. I mean, it takes a giant group effort.
Very well said, my friend. And we'll get more into discussions like this coming up, this time with Susie Moore joining us here in just a few minutes. You're listening to Mike Ferguson in the Morning with our very special friend, Billy Crow, and Susie Moore coming up after this break. This is 101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL.
Hunters, now is the time to get ready. Mike Ferguson here for my friends at Whistle Pig Outdoors. Listen, don't wait until the season opener to dial that bow in. Whistle Pig offers paper tuning, bow adjustments, string replacement, and custom arrows. Plus, Hoyt and Bear archery bows, crossbows from 10 Point and Raven, and accessories from all of the top brands. Archery season opens in September, but now is the time to practice and get ready. Whistle Pig Outdoors in Troy, Missouri. Visit whistlepigoutdoors.com.
The Vic Morselli Show.
Very active, very fun chat box. Cindifer.
Hi, Cindifer.
Hey, how you doing? She says, yo, Vic, baby. Verbatim, yo, Vic, baby. With an exclamation point. How else are you supposed to read that? I was driving, had to pull over to comment. I was going to say how sexy the beard is. But I'm afraid of your wife.
Hey, I'll tell you what, I would be.
Vic Morselli, live and local, weekday mornings at 9 on News Talk STL.
Dreaming about a vacation but not sure where to start? Should you book that all-inclusive resort or a cruise? Which destination? What cruise line? And how do you know you're getting the best value? That's where Magic Expeditions comes in. We're your St. Louis local travel experts, helping you choose the vacation that fits. Whether a relaxing, adults-only escape, family-friendly resort, or unforgettable cruise adventure, skip the stress, the guessing, and endless online searching. Visit MagicExpeditions.com. That's MagicExpeditions.com.
Streaming TV is where it's at. It's not about cutting the cord anymore. That's old news. It's all about your customized TV options. With the best and cheapest high-speed internet and your own TV subscriptions, we've got your dream TV lineup. Between wired and satellite internet and TV, you now have tons of options. Save money and get more internet speed and better TV today by calling the Whole Home Connect. We scan your location and offer you the best TV and internet options. And we always have specials and promotions. So when you call, ask about that. Take 5 minutes of your time. Make this free call now and learn how to save money and get better internet and TV for your home anywhere in the U.S. Make this simple and free call now.
800-257-1632. 800-257-1632. 800-257-1632. That's 800-257-1632.
If you're living with diabetes and using insulin, you know the pain of pricking your fingers over and over again. By wearing a small remote device called a continuous glucose monitor or CGM, you can reduce the pain of pricking your fingers right away. If you're testing your blood sugar 4 or more times per day, injecting insulin 3 or more times per day, or using an insulin pump, call the Diabetic Health Hotline today.
800-515-2380. That's 800-515-2380. Paid for by U.S. Med.
KLGY HD3 Clayton, K270BW Bellefonte, KNBS Bowling Green.
This is News Talk STL
at 1019, 94.1, and always streaming at NewsTalkSTL.com.
News this hour from Town Hall. I'm Rich Thomason. President Trump says past U.S. presidents have for decades considered actively intervening in Cuba. But in Mr. Trump's words, it looks like I'll be the one that does it. Secretary of State Rubio says the administration would like to resolve differences with Cuba peacefully, but he doubts the U.S. can reach a diplomatic resolution with the island's communist regime. Having arrived in Sweden, Secretary Rubio will be addressing a NATO foreign ministers meeting. President Trump has sharply criticized the alliance for not helping out in the Iran war. There's also a good deal of uncertainty about the future U.S. role in the NATO alliance. The president says the U.S. will be sending another 5,000 troops to Poland. The move comes as 5,000 American troops are pulled out of Germany. It's a lengthy prison sentence for a Minnesota woman, the center of a massive fraud scandal. It ripped off taxpayers to the tune of hundreds of millions of dollars.
In what is billed by officials as the largest COVID-19 fraud scheme in the country, Amy Bach has been sentenced to nearly 42 years in prison. Bach ran Feeding Our Future and was convicted in a staggering $250 million fraud case that helped ignite an immigration crackdown in Minnesota by the Trump administration. After the sentencing, authorities held a news conference to announce charges against 15 more people accused of fraud in receiving federal payments for a variety of social services administered through Minnesota's state government. I'm Lisa Dwyer.
A NASCAR icon is dead. Kyle Busch was just 41 years old. Two-time Cup Series champ, he won more races than anyone across NASCAR's 3 national series. His family says Busch died after being hospitalized. On Wall Street, Dow futures up 114, NASDAQ futures ahead 19 points. More on these stories at townhall.com.
If you're considering investing in precious metals, don't wait. The Iranian conflict seems to be nearing an end, and the time is now to position your retirement for massive growth. Advantage Gold is America's #1 precious metals company, and they want to send you a free gold and silver investor guide valued at $49 when you call 800-900-8000. Plus, you'll get a free copy of economist Ken Rogoff's book, Our Dollar, Your Problem. Our specialists can help you open a new account or transfer funds from an existing IRA, tax and penalty free, and show you how a gold-backed IRA can put real, tangible assets into your retirement portfolio. Markets react to news cycles, but gold has maintained its value through inflation, volatility, and economic uncertainty. When the purchasing power of the dollar declines, that's when investors turn to gold and silver. Make your move now. Call Advantage Gold at 800-900-8000. Results may vary. Consult your financial advisor before investing. Call 800-900-8000. That's 800-900-8000.
From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
I'm meteorologist Shan Scotch with your first alert forecast. We're going to continue to track temperatures into the upper 60s with some scattered showers. That starts to appear during the afternoon hours, lasting through the early evening and early overnight hours. Saturday looking dry. Temperatures back towards the lower 80s until we head towards the late afternoon, early evening hours. Could see some isolated chances of showers and storms. More chances of scattered showers into Sunday. Then Monday, temperatures towards mid to lower 80s, looking drier for much of the region. For the First Alert 4 Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Shan Scott.
This hour of News Talk STL brought to you by Chris Cooper and Serenity Wealth Management. Business owners, download your free playbook for financial clarity at SerenityWealthBiz.com. That's SerenityWealthBiz.com.
Hey, Columbo here for Rockwood Charcoal. Rockwood is made from 100% pure Missouri oak and hickory, so you're cooking with the best and supporting local industry and a local business all at once. There's over 100 area Rockwood retailers. Find yours at rockwoodcharcoal.com.
This year, America turns 250, and News Talk STL is celebrating our nation's semi-quincentennial all year long. News Talk STL, #1 for live and local Soros-free talk, with proud supporters of our 250th birthday celebration. Duchenne High School, Moolah Yomo, and Mobile Magic Auto Body. 250 years strong, and we're just getting started. 101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL.
Chris Arps here, and after Becky and I leave church on Sunday, we head down the street to Capriotti's to grab a classic meatball sub. I love Capriotti's, and you will too. Visit Capriotti's now at 2 locations on Manchester, McKnight, and Rock Hill, and now in Creve Coeur on Olive, just 1 mile west of 270.
All the information I need on the drive to work.
Mike Ferguson in the morning. I keep it on throughout the day, whether it's local, national, or something big that's happening overseas.
News, analysis, and opinion.
St. Louis is #1 for conservative talk.
News Talk STL.
Mike Ferguson.
Are you being intentionally dense?
Huh? Susie Moore.
Have you ever been mistaken for a man?
No. Have you?
Get up! Can't you hear the alarm? Get up, St. Louis.
We're a different kind of clown show.
Mike Ferguson in the morning on News Talk STL.
Get up! This is your cousin.
Get up. It's Flashback Friday here on the Mike Ferguson in the Morning Show. I know Jerome kind of already introed you to that concept, and I'm looking forward to our bump music today, Jerome.
We've got a wide variety of different genres today.
I am intrigued. Hi, in case you can't tell, this is Susie Moore filling in for Mike today because he is taking a well-deserved day off. But I am not alone, of course. I've got Jerome here with me. I've got Billy Crow here with me.
Good morning.
And we're going to have fun because it's the Friday before a holiday weekend. And this is maybe not the most fun topic, but yesterday when I was kind of like thinking through, okay, what all do we want to cover? There's all different, of course, there's never a shortage of news to cover. But one of the things that kept popping up was, fraud. And I swear like every other story that was coming up is about some additional fraud scheme that's been exposed. And I just out of curiosity, I looked at the front page of RedState, which, as you guys know, I'm the deputy managing editor at RedState. So I'm overseeing all of the articles that we're putting out, that sort of thing. And I looked at our front page and I did a search for the word fraud just to see in the past 7 days how many stories we've had. And I will tell you right now, it goes past the first page. So it goes over 30 stories. And that's with us covering other stuff, too, because, there's stuff going on with Cuba. Right. There's stuff going on with Iran. There's all kinds of stuff going on. But yet that is what is seemingly predominating. So I just kind of wanted to throw out a couple of these headlines and topics and then have a broader discussion about this. There was shocking new fraud reports from Ohio that may amount to, as much as $1 billion in fraud. I think that surrounds Medicaid services, home health services, that sort of thing. Then we had out of the big announcement yesterday, FBI makes this big announcement about indictments. They indicted 15 in a $90 million Minnesota Medicaid fraud scheme. Now, this is in addition to the Feeding Our Future stuff and
a
lot
Leering Center and all
yeah,
that. It's all in addition to that.
And I think this may tie into the Leering Center, but it's not just that. So that was a big announcement yesterday. Now, there was a little bit of glimmer, a positive glimmer here. We did get sentenced the woman who's referred to as the Minnesota fraud queen, and no, that's not Ilhan Omar yet. But this is the lady that was running the Feeding Our Future scam, that sort of thing. And so she received like 41-year sentence for her role in that. So there are actually being, we are seeing the chickens come home to roost. We are seeing some consequences actually being brought to bear. But it's one of those things where, this really took off. I'm going to back up. When Doge first kind of came in early in the Trump administration, we were hearing like whispers of, they're going to uncover all this waste, fraud, and abuse. And we were all kind of excited to see what they might get to. And then things kind of like quieted down. Yeah. And then right over the Christmas holidays, you had Nick Shirley going out to Minnesota and having his viral video about the Quality Leering Center and all those things. And then it kind of really took off again. I guess it's one of those things where, as a long-standing American citizen taxpayer, in the back of my mind, I always knew there probably was, some fraud somewhere. Right. There was probably definitely some waste. We're talking about the government here, right? But did you ever have like any glimmer of a concept of how pervasive this was?
No, it's incredible. I mean, you think like, okay, with the trillions of dollars of like the government spends and in debt we are, I mean, there has, when I was worked at Radio Shack, there was always an assumed amount of, way back in the day, right? There's always assumed amount of loss from criminal activity that was like budgeted in, right?
Sure.
So when you talk $1 trillion budget, trillions of dollars in budget, then that percentage gets exponentially larger. But at the same time, like, why aren't people getting really fired up about this?
Well, my theory is that a lot of people aren't getting really fired up about this because it's the Trump administration that's uncovering a lot of it.
Well, I think that's some of it, right?
Yeah. So it's like, doesn't matter if it's the best thing ever. If it's going to save you thousands and thousands of dollars, if it's Trump, it must be bad.
Yep. No, I think that's definitely part of it. I also think there's a piece of it that's like whose ox is getting gored,
well,
right?
That's true, too.
Because, some people are benefiting from all of this waste and fraud, even if they're not a politician or the person that's on the top of the Leering Center pyramid, right?
Absolutely.
Well, there's also, to take into consideration, the areas where this is most prominent are people that have that sort of socialist idea where they believe everything that America has been stolen to begin with, and therefore, if it's helping these people that come here, then they're kind of entitled to defraud us. I mean, that's an actual ideology that I've seen being proposed about this stuff.
Yeah, this sort of idea that it's almost like like twisted reparations.
No one's illegal on stolen land, basically. Nobody's defrauding when all of your profits are ill-gained. I don't know.
Nothing matters.
Doesn't make sense, but that is what I've been hearing and seeing from people.
Sure.
Yeah, I guess it's kind of like misplaced guilt. I don't know. But when you think about the sheer scale of this, like obviously we keep talking about how far in debt we are as a nation. We can't balance the budget. We can't, we keep spending more and more. The states are doing it. Gosh, we just talked about like the Missouri annual budget has almost doubled over the past 10 years. So it's like, okay, we keep spending all this money. Things seem to be declining in terms of what we're getting for it.
Your quality for dollar is not increasing.
The ROI might sort of be on the downslope there. I just don't. To your point, Billy, the fact that there aren't more Americans up in arms is really kind of discouraging, disheartening, because it's like, okay, forget who's in the White House. Who cares? Do you want your state, local, and federal government to be burning your money like this?
Yeah. I tell you what, Jerome, we've been talking about this. We talked about this earlier before the show started. I know how we fix the problem. We explained to them that all of this fraud and waste is paying for data centers.
Oh, there you go. Tie it all in together.
And then they'll all get out. They will figure out how to do recalls on every federal office.
You know what? There may be something to that. There may be something to it. When I first really started thinking about this, and this was before I jumped into media full time, I was still practicing law. But when COVID hit, so going back 6 years now, oh my gosh, pretty soon, I mean, everyone was in panic and everything was shutting down. And so the government started coming up with these like PPP loans and that sort of thing. And people that I knew were talking about it. They're like, oh, well, we won't qualify for that. I'm like, you're a small business. You've got employees. Yeah, you will.
Right.
And there was this like sense of, well, should we apply? Like, is it morally wrong to apply? And my position at that point was it's literally not, because they're saying this is the legal way that we want people to try and kind of keep their head above water during this economic and health crisis, and you're eligible. So why wouldn't you take advantage of it? Now, don't lie about it. Don't abuse it. Pay back whatever you're supposed to pay back. But I struggled with that too, because it was like, well, we could probably maybe we could get by like without it, but I understand that where people get this sort of like, well, everybody else is getting in on the action. Why wouldn't I? That's when you're talking about like a legal system.
Right. Yeah, that's just a legal system.
Maybe unwise, but it was a legally set up system. But then you've got, all of these programs where the money is just pouring in.
Yeah.
And the oversight is like scant at best.
Well, and I think that, you guys may have been talking about it yesterday too, like affirmative action and civil rights stuff when it comes to like minority contractors, right? Like how many, in my world, in the construction world, where you have to have, especially during the Obama years, all these jobs with federal money were tied to having a certain amount of minority work, minority participation, minority-owned companies. And you'd have this company that's all white men with the token white female as the president. Oh, now it's minority contract, so now we get preferential treatment.
Right.
Well, it's creating a system of abusing a system where it was a good intention, right? Like all of these, like Medicaid stuff like that, being able to take care of your loved ones at home, creating a way that you could financially support that, right? My wife took care in the home of both of her grandparents, right? And so like this is something a little near to our hearts, seeing that people are abusing this system. It's the same idea, right? You've got a good idea, good intentions, and someone's just taking a dump on it all.
Right. Well, it kind of sets up the perverse incentives.
Right.
So basically, a good idea, a well-intentioned plan, and people start saying, people who want to make use of it but do it in the right way are doing what they're supposed to do. But then other people are like, oh, opportunity.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's exactly, it is funny how these socialists, right, all of a sudden when they see a capitalistic opportunity, they take full advantage of it.
They're no dummies. Well, that's why capitalism works.
That's right.
Because you're self-interested. You're supposed to be self-interested. You're not supposed to be self-interested to the point where you're breaking the law or abusing other people's trust or absconding with their funds, but you are supposed to be self-interested. The problem is we set up these government programs that encourage people to basically go beyond the self-interest and just completely take advantage of it. But speaking of that, the world actually might soon have its first trillionaire. Is that a good thing? We're going to discuss that up next.
Don't try to make me stop, no inspiration. You have a soul so dark, it is no more. And all at once depart, no destination. You're making cold my heart to fight your war. Stop it right now. I have had enough of this. Turn my eyes to your indifference.
Well, there you go again. Listening to Mike Ferguson in the morning on News Talk STL.
Get up, can't you hear the alarm?
Tim Jones here to introduce you to your new favorite roofing company, Corel Roofing. There were 4 major storms last year. Did your roof take a hit? Do you even know? Most homeowner insurance policies require claims to be filed within 1 year, so time's running out for a closer look. At Corel Roofing Company, you get a local roofing specialist who will advocate for you every step of the way. Give yourself peace of mind. Schedule your roof inspection today with Corel Roofing at CorelRoofingCo.com. That's CorelRoofingCo.com.
Are you struggling with life's pressures? The Flot Line has answers. Join host Rick Hughes for biblical principles and learn how to build a spiritual flot line in your soul. Discover God's plan for your life. Sunday mornings at 9:30 on News Talk STL.
Tony Colombo here for All Solutions Pest Control, the team Christine and I trust to protect our home. We've used multiple services at multiple homes over the years, and I can tell you from all that experience, All Solutions is second to none. If you have a pest problem of any kind, or more importantly, just want to prevent a problem, All Solutions is the team to call. Learn more and take advantage of their incredible $67 introductory offer right now at allsolutionspestcontrol.com.
If a pest-free home is your goal, call All Solutions Pest Control.
My mother was very familiar with her neighborhood, but one day she stopped at the stop sign and she wasn't even really sure where she was at.
When something feels different, it could be Alzheimer's. Now is the time to talk. A message from the Alzheimer's Association and the Ad Council.
This hour of Mike Ferguson in the Morning is brought to you by Stifel. Request a portfolio review from your Stifel financial advisor at stifel.com. That's STIFEL.com. The 80s. Bueller.
The 80s.
Let's go while we're young. Never been a decade like it.
Shall we play a game?
Never will be.
Where will it be?
It's Flashback Friday.
Hey guys, Billy Crow here from Jeffco Patriot Radio. Hope you had enough time to freshen up your coffee, because now we're back with Mike Ferguson in the morning.
That's a familiar sounding voice.
It is.
I hate the sound of that voice.
No, it's like meta. It's
I hate the sound of his name.
You're announcing it over yourself. Good tune. Is this Genesis or just Phil Collins?
It's labeled as Genesis. It's on
Yeah.
the Genesis official
I couldn't remember if it was before the split or after. I was pretty sure it was Genesis, but yeah, classic 80s. That era. It's like early to mid 80s. I like it.
For such a depressingly lyrical song, it does have a very danceable beat, though.
Oh, it totally does.
It does.
Yeah. Good stuff. So we're going to, welcome back to the Mike Ferguson in the Morning Show. Susie Moore here, got Billy with me, got Jerome with me. We are going to start talking about this trillionaire concept. But before we get that, I want to explore something that just kind of occurred to me while we were talking off air. And that is, in an alternate universe, right now, we could be existing under the guise of President Kamala Harris and Vice President Tim Walz. Think about that for a second.
Yeah, well, so putting words together here. We're talking about all this fraud, and the FBI is going after all this fraud. What would we be talking about now instead, right? What would be on the air? It would be the FBI going after Trump and Vance and all of these things where it's like
Christians.
Complete opposite universe, right? Complete opposite universe.
Well, like I said, I'm not even 100% sure we'd be on the air.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I that sounds a little alarmist. Maybe that's hyperbolic. I don't know, but really, like think about the battles that we had to overcome from a censorship perspective back during the Biden era.
No, I'm convinced that that's not hyperbolic or alarmist because I was still doing the Next Gen with Danny Define at that time, and we had a literal clip show of all of the people. So it was Harris, it was Hillary Clinton, it was John Kerry. It was all these people saying we need to do more to restrict speech against quote unquote hate speech and misinformation. We need to do more to control what's being put out there. And that was one of the big reasons for me where I knew I had to go out and vote because you're not going to stop me from talking smack.
Right. Yeah.
You can call it misinformation. You can call it hate speech all you want. But there is something to be said about just how close we came to people that were advocating not only over the airwaves, but even on social media, on the internet, what you can and can't say.
They were so willing to try.
And they were pushing for it openly, like this was a good thing. I saw people clapping. I'm like, how are you clapping for censorship? This is 1984 nonsense right here.
Right, absolutely. And you're right, Susie. I mean, this station is run underneath a federal license.
That's right.
So it could be pulled at any time, right? So is speech really free when the only way to get it across is a federal FCC license?
Well, that's its own issue. And that's a good, good topic, a good kind of like deep dive into stuff. But yeah, I mean, I'm thinking back to that, 2021, 2022 time frame and thinking about things really did feel kind of like compressed.
Mm-hmm.
Like you felt the weight of that looming censorship on you. And of course, I was seeing it from two angles, not only from the radio station, but also print, digital.
Yeah.
I mean, there were so many like hoops that we had to jump through and things we had to be really conscientious of. Like, okay, if we publish this like this, are we going to end up being demonetized?
Right.
Are we going to lose the platform that we have? And we really had to be like, we wanted to be pushing the envelope. We wanted to be pushing the truth out there, but it was really hard. So when I think about the fact that we could be right now existing under President Harris and Vice President Jazz Hands, it is kind of terrifying.
It is, but one of the things I've noticed with doing Jeff Go Patriot Radio, and my wife and I now do the Jefferson Review, which is a digital publication all about Jefferson County.
Excellent, by the way.
And one of the things I've noticed is, we are, even though we're not in direct competition with the leader that is more on the liberal side, is that the people in Jefferson County are craving the conservative point of view. They're craving stuff like this. And the more the masses crave it, the more the powers that be are probably going to want to shut it down.
Well, that's true, too. That is definitely true.
Now, our Democratic friend Scooter says, if Harris had been president, we wouldn't be at war with Iran. The Kennedy Center wouldn't be called the Trump Kennedy Center. No Liberation Day tariffs, no $39 trillion debt, and the East Wing of the White House would still be standing.
Okay, so I'm going to try and address those. He's probably right that we wouldn't be at war with Iran in the sense of us going on offense against them. I'm sure that we would still be suffering the consequences of the multiple terrorist attacks that they would be sponsoring throughout the world. The East Wing would probably still be standing, yes. We probably wouldn't have tariffs, correct. The $39 trillion debt, I'm pretty sure that we were going to have that under whoever was going to be
it might have
next
been bigger,
president.
actually.
So I'm gonna call baloney on that. And I can't remember the other thing you said. It is kind of fun to play that game of like, what would things be like? But Scooter, I will tell you right now, we love you and we appreciate you listening to this show. But I would not trade what we have right now for that for any amount of money.
Well, and how many pallets of cash did Obama send to Iran?
I don't know how many pallets it was, but it was quite a healthy sum of cash.
So maybe we would have had that instead of bombing them back to the Stone Age.
Well, healthy sum of cash makes me think of Elon Musk, which, by the way, think about the role that his purchasing Twitter played in the fact that we are where we are now.
Well, it's like it started it. It was like the watershed moment, right?
Right, and even that you can trace back to what? The Babylon Bee getting deplatformed because they had the audacity to make fun of Admiral Levine.
Well, there's also the whole controversy around what's been dubbed the X-Files, Twitter files, when we call it the X-Files because we're at X now, but quite literally, if not, Elon Musk had not decided to buy Twitter, we would not have uncovered just how, there are quite literally what can only be described as First Amendment violations that were going on. The Biden administration had government officials coordinating with people like Mark Zuckerberg and was it Jack Dorsey, I think his name was, the guy that used to own Twitter, and actually suppressing and targeting political opponents' voices, from politicians to actual scientists and journalists that were reporting on things that the administration didn't want to have done. And when you pointed that out, it was like, well, it's just a terms of service thing. It's private property or private company can make the rules. It wasn't these companies that decided to make the rules. It was the government getting involved and telling them that you have to enforce these rules.
Yeah. No, none of that would have come to light. And so, if for no other reason, I will always be extraordinarily grateful that Elon got kind of pissed on behalf of the Babylon Bee and decided, hey, you know what? I'm just going to buy the platform.
Yeah, it's kind of always having that nice friend that can just take care of business for you.
Well, he's even more likely to be able to take care of business now because it looks like they're going to have the SpaceX IPO, and it could make him on paper the world's first trillionaire. Is that a bad thing? Is that a good thing? Is that a neutral thing? What do you think?
Well, I don't know. So let's compare this, right? Like for inflation, if you assume inflation, what does that compare to what Rockefeller was at his height, right?
Yeah.
He may not have been a trillionaire, but how does that compare when you put inflation to it?
How do you put it in 1900s numbers?
Yeah,
right?
because money is just pretty much just meaningless paper at this point. Is $1 trillion, $1 trillion in the Weimar Republic? You know what I mean? Like, how rich is he really, or does it just mean I'm actually that much poorer, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, and that's and to your point to that, in some regards, if we were still on the gold standard, I think this would be a much bigger deal because there's only a finite amount of gold that you can have issued to a treasury. So if one guy owns all of your gold reserves for the nation, you're kind of at their behest. Since we can just print money out of thin air, it really does not matter as much. And I don't like the idea of telling somebody, like, you would never tell Michael Jordan, hey, you've won too many championships.
That's right. That's right. Yeah.
Arnold Schwarzenegger, you've won too many bodybuilding competitions.
Yeah.
You would never tell them that, but when it comes to money.
Actually.
Oh?
When you think about the education system, yeah, you would. Remember? I mean, there's this whole idea that success is a negative. It's oppressive. So
you're telling that to the kids
right,
before they're successful.
Like you're stripping merit scholarships because you don't want the people that aren't going to get them to feel bad, that sort of thing.
Well, okay. I guess we'll say if you are
there are people that have that mentality.
If you are a functional, rational adult with a developed brain, then you would not consider doing that to somebody. You would not say, look, Tiger Woods, you cannot you win all these golf marathons, right? So at the same time, when it comes to business, though, there is this idea that, well, you're too good at business. We need to stop you. But if you can just print the money and the way that he actually develops his wealth, I've read his the biography on him, and it's actually extremely high risk but high reward. It's very genius how he did it, but it's also very easy to lose everything if you do it wrong.
Oh, yeah.
Now, Jerome, I would push back about the normal person with the rational brain because there is something very innate in humans. When somebody is successful at something and really good at it, you just automatically hate them. Like back in the 90s, being a NASCAR fan, Jeff Gordon.
Yeah.
Jeff Gordon was good.
Envy.
But people hated him. Some of it was the rainbow car, but mostly if he would have been just a mediocre driver, people wouldn't have even cared who he was, right? And so I think there is a huge piece of envy with that, right? It is.
You know, I think it is.
What's that?
It's because I think Democrats are mad at Elon Musk because he is proof that African immigrants can still make it in white America.
True. Most successful African American.
But I think there is as a species, whenever somebody's doing better than us, there is that level of like,
sure,
that should have been me, you lucky.
Right.
But there is something to be said that you can build your luck by just figuring it out and working smarter.
And some of that's healthy because you envy that somebody else has had that success. Some of that should drive you to try and reach that yourself. And just so you know, because I had to talk to our friend AI while you guys were discussing this, $1 trillion today would have had the purchasing power of about $25 to $26 billion in 1900. That's still a lot of money. That's far and away above what the Rockefeller money was.
Wow. Okay. So,
so it's kind of exponential.
Crazy.
So you've got inflation, which is obviously very high, but you've also got the kind of the exponential growth of, and that's because, Elon he's an innovator, he's a visionary, and he didn't just put all his eggs in one basket.
That's right. Yeah.
He started out and found one piece of success, and then he found another way to build on that. And, people are going to gripe and say, oh, well, he's getting this benefit here or that benefit there. Well, you have that issue with all corporations, all corporate entities. And that's the danger of a government that plays favorites and picks winners and losers.
Right.
But I don't think you can really take away from his success.
No, I mean, if you look at, we've seen the system where if you don't incentivize being able to get ahead in life, how much innovation and advancement that gives us a civilization. I mean, again, Soviet Russia is a perfect example of that, right? Whereas even if it's for envy's sake, right? We're talking about even for envy's sake, when there's that motivation to be able to like better yourself, like there is a drive to make things better. There's a drive to put out a better product. Crazy innovation happens. I mean, SpaceX, the things they're doing with that, what his original like $1 million idea was being part of PayPal, right? That would never exist unless he was like, I want to make some money and I want to make it now. Right. So anyways,
I don't know. I mean, I think there's a lot of you can point to so many areas that the world is a better place because somebody had that drive.
Right. Yep. Well, and countless libraries named after Carnegie or Rockefeller, like what they donated way more than the federal government donated to helping people.
Well, that's a good point
would
too.
you rather a politician be the first trillion? Would you rather J.B. Pritzker or Donald Trump or any of these people be the first trillionaire? Or would you rather a private citizen that's involved in industry be rewarded for their efforts?
Well, that's just racist.
That's racist. Oh man, I'm just turning up the water that I'm boiling myself in, aren't I? All right. Anyways, as we've mentioned before, Mike's out. So when Mike is away, Susie, Jerome, and Billy will play. But also, what are the biggest takeaways from the 2026 legislative session? We'll hear from Missouri Senator Nick Schroer right after this, coming up.
Ferguson in the morning.
I've driven all over Washington, D.C. I cannot find the money tree.
On News Talk STL. From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
I'm meteorologist Shan Scotch with your first alert forecast. We're going to continue to track temperatures into the upper 60s with some scattered showers. That starts to appear during the afternoon hours, lasting through the early evening and early overnight hours. Saturday looking dry. Temperatures back towards the lower 80s until we head towards the late afternoon, early evening hours. Could see some isolated chances of showers and storms. More chances of scattered showers into Sunday. Then Monday, temperatures towards mid to lower 80s, looking drier for much of the region. For the First Alert 4 Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Shan Scott.
Hey, it's Chris Arps. Becky and I recently discovered a restaurant that's quickly become one of our go-to restaurants, Timothy's in Creve Coeur. Led by executive chef Will Mabry, Timothy's serves contemporary American cuisine with a touch of Southern charm. Dishes like pastrami, smoked lamb, and shrimp and grits. My wife absolutely loved the lobster pot pie, and everything we've tried has been incredible. Amazing house-made desserts and over 500 wines to choose from. Enjoy dinner 7 nights a week, plus lunch, brunch, and private events. Timothy's in Creve Coeur at 12710 Olive Boulevard or online at timothysstl.com.
Public schools, like public libraries, should be free and open to all. Open enrollment allows parents to choose the school that's the best fit for their children. Maybe another school has a wider curriculum, is bigger or smaller. Maybe a kid is being bullied and would be more comfortable at another school. 75% of parents favor open enrollment. Open enrollment programs now exist in 43 states, and Missouri should join them. Our next-door neighbor, Kansas, has one of the strongest open enrollment policies in the nation. Kansas parents are trusted with choices and options, while Missouri parents must move out of their home to change public schools. And it's a trend. Nationwide, the percentage of students going to their chosen public school has steadily increased. Assigning kids to schools based on their zip code is the old way. Open enrollment is a better way. Learn more at showmeinstitute.org. The Show Me Minute has been brought to you by Show Me Institute and Show Me Opportunity.
The Vic Porcelli Show.
President Trump has worked out a $1.776 billion, 1776, get it, anti-weaponization fund. We're going to talk to Kaylin Deese from the Washington Examiner all about that Thursday at 9:41.
Weekday mornings at 9 on News Talk STL. The 80s. Excellent. Never been a decade like it. Never will be. It's Flashback Friday.
I went back to Ohio, but my city was gone. There was no train station. There was no downtown.
Hey everyone, this is State Senator Nick Schroer. I am the host of Stand and Fight every Sunday night. Right now, let's hear more of Mike Ferguson in the Morning Show here on News Talk STL.
Went back to Ohio where there was so much fraud, there was nothing there. Welcome back to the Mike Ferguson in the Morning Show. Susie Moore filling in for Mike today. I've got Billy Crow here with me. I've got Jerome here with me. And very appropriately, we are now joined by Missouri State Senator Nick Schroer. Nick, welcome to the show.
Hey, I'm loving the music, the 80s.
Yeah.
I was right in the middle of it. So
Flashback Friday.
I think it's my first Flashback Friday. I get to join you guys.
Well, we very much appreciate you joining us. I kind of ambushed you yesterday when you walked into the station. It was like, hey, you want to be on with us tomorrow? But I did want to talk to you because, of course, we are now kind of looking through the rear view mirror at the 2026 legislative session and wanted to get your overall takeaway. Like, what were the hits? What were the misses? What were the biggest obstacles?
Yeah, I love doing this. I guess since I was in the House, I do the good, the bad, and the ugly. I love the old westerns.
Mm-hmm.
There's always a little bit of good. This year, I think there was a bit of good. But let's start with the ugly, because we've talked a heck of a lot about all the good things that have passed, whether it's the Sharia law ban, if it's moving the school board elections to November. So let's just dive into the bad stuff. What was the low-hanging fruit that was left on I would say the goal line, because we had the REINS Act, which is basically controlling these out of control bureaucrats when they're creating these rules that are very costly to the state. This is the second year in a row now that we've left this on the goal line, one vote away from going to the governor's desk. So the REINS Act was one that Ben Keithley sponsored. Travis Fitzwater, that was one of his bills on the way out. We thought that was going to be an easy vote, bipartisan vote. The other one was Tabor, the Taxpayer Bill of Rights, was one vote away. And another one that year after year we seem to have an iteration very close to the governor's desk is work requirements for Medicaid. The Medicaid work requirements, that if you're going to be on the government dime, you at least have to show that you're trying to get back to work, at least have a path to pick yourself up by your own bootstraps. And then the other two were just no-brainers. The school choice, we really didn't do much in terms of universal school choice. I know, talking to the governor's office, this is going to be a huge priority, not only for me, and one of the reasons I'm running for floor leader in the Missouri Senate is to make sure we get this thing done. So universal school choice, and then personal property tax. Mm-hmm. We got very close to a couple bills that kind of moved the ball, but not really as much as I wanted to. But my bill on getting rid of personal property tax, putting that on the ballot and just saying, hey, here's your drop dead date by 2029, 2028, is very open to it. I let everybody know if we can move that ball, but we just need to start thinking differently about personal property tax, like so many other states where people are fleeing to now have done.
Nick, you talk about all these very reasonable Republican things that just didn't get across the finish line, like Taxpayer Bill of Rights, school choice, things like that. And we have a supermajority in the state house and the Senate. We've got a very Republican governor. I mean, surprising some of us, right, on how well he's done.
Yeah.
When we, in Jefferson County, Deep Red County, obviously we try to pay close attention to our primaries because, when it's going to be a Republican or a Republican up there, these things matter. Do you think that there are things that can be done in this year's primary? It is an election year this year that could really change the way that the House works, the Senate works. I mean, are there some good candidates up there that are willing to take on some of these incumbents and say, hey, you're not, why aren't you voting the way that I want you to vote up there?
Yeah, well, I'm going to mention a guy that he's from your county. He's a good friend of mine. I work with him, Jim Avery.
Oh, yeah. I tell you what. Yeah. Go ahead. Sorry.
No, I was going to say his style. I've been in several meetings with him since getting back from the legislature last week. And, I love his style. He goes, look, I'm not going up there to make friends. If you want friends, get a damn puppy dog and bring it with you. We got so many issues that we have to start facing before all the lobbyist sludge, all these things that year after year, and he keeps mentioning personal property tax. He keeps mentioning school choice. There's so many different things that we just keep leaving on the vine year after year. And I understand, look, there are a lot of things that we've done in this past year. We've been covering this with the Missouri Freedom Caucus, from the 7-1 map to IP reform, initiative petition reform going to the ballot, the fix on Amendment 3. There are a ton of things that we should be celebrating, but let's not lose focus. And I think you have a great question. You've got so many candidates with term limits in the House and the Missouri Senate, forcing a lot of people out. Now is your opportune time, even if it's not a candidate in your area. It's somebody who can go up there and filibuster and stop a good bill from going to the governor's office. So this is something that, send your questions to them, put them on the spot, figure out, where are they going to be if a bill to phase out personal property tax gets to the Senate floor, to the House floor, gets in their committee. What are they going to do? And look, when push comes to shove, if that issue comes up and they go the other way, you've got the receipts and you know how to use them.
Yeah, and there's a lot I agree with Jim Avery on, and I really like him. And even if there was someone else was running against him, I'd still vote for him. But we're just excited in Jefferson County to have a senator that actually lives in Jefferson County again, not up next to her donor class in St. Louis.
That's very true. That is very true.
Good morning, Senator Schroer. This is producer Jerome chiming in. We've got a couple comments in our chat box right now, but one that stuck out to me was the most frustrating thing about talking Missouri legislation is that we have a supermajority. We should be leaps and bounds further down the road with legislation, and there's a lot of wasted opportunities. So there is some frustration, perhaps, with maybe some of the performance this time around, or just in general. Do you have any response to those criticisms?
Yeah, I think some of that, maybe a lot of that, is some of these old personalities that are now terming out, these old personalities that you had before the Freedom Caucus. And, you had iterations of the Freedom Caucus, the Conservative Caucus, and it would butt heads with the more moderates. And it was just, kind of a toxic era where if Bill Eigel or Bob Onder or Eric Burleson, all these names, would sponsor a piece of legislation, and it was good legislation, they would just vote it down because of the personality. And I think that's gone. I think with this term limits, a lot of that now is gone. And here's the silver lining. Something that has never happened in my time in the legislature. We cut year-over-year spending. We got a new appropriations chair, and I know that chair was butting heads with the other guy that was still there. And the Freedom Caucus came in, met with leadership, and said, "Look, we've got an opportunity where you can get the Republicans, all of the Republicans, to vote for your budget. Just do one thing: cut friggin' spending. Put us, turn the car around, put us in the direction where we need to go for these next several years. If we're going to cut taxes, we're going to have to do it cutting spending, or else we're going to end up like Kansas." So that's the silver lining here, is that, you know, we are starting to do a lot of the things. And I know, yes, too little, too late. We should have been doing this 20 plus years ago. But guess what? I wasn't there 20 plus years ago. Jim Avery wasn't there 20 plus years ago. We finally have a good crew that is reminding people exactly what they came to the building for. The Freedom Caucus is now in the middle of every friggin' conversation. The first bills on the governor's desk the past 2 years are the Freedom Caucus bills. So rather than throwing bombs at our Republicans or Republican friends, we're bringing them to the table and convincing them, as a good attorney would, convincing them that this is good conservative legislation that the people back home want. And if you're not going to get on board with it, you're not going to be in the building next year. So I think that's, you know, a lot of advocacy for our issues internally within the Missouri Senate and the Missouri House. That's been done by the Missouri Freedom Caucus. The car has been turned around on spending. The car has been turned around on a lot of these issues. And now let's finally get these things like tax cuts done, like spending, like regulatory reform.
You know, Nick, one of the questions that's come up recently, I mean, we had a good result from the Missouri Supreme Court I guess it was last week, on the new maps. Two different cases, but both involving whether or not the maps could stay in place. And from a practical standpoint, without getting into the legalese and getting into the weeds, the Supreme Court basically let the 7-1 map stay in place. The hiccup there, the wrinkle there, to me, it seems, is this. If, you know, the deadline for verifying the signatures on the referendum to challenge the maps is the day of the Missouri primary, what happens if we, you know, assume that there are sufficient signatures and that therefore the referendum is valid? Do you have any sense of, you know, it kind of puts us in a little bit of a time warp then?
Yeah, you know, that's a great question, and I think it's exactly what the Democrat wants, is just this mass chaos around these issues. But, you know, Susie, you and I both reviewed the Constitution, and I tend to agree with our AG on this one. I still haven't found, and it's pretty thick. We've got bingo and marijuana and all sorts of crap in there that our U.S. Constitution doesn't have. But I have not seen where there is a right to apply this referendum to redistricting. I haven't seen it. So I think by its absence and looking at other Supreme Court cases, namely, you know, just this past one about can we redistrict in non-census years, the court was very clear there. And I think applying the logic of the court there to, okay, by not mentioning does the referendum apply to redistricting, I think we're going to see the same exact result we've seen with every single other case that the Democrats have filed on this map. And it's going to be that we're victorious. So, yeah, I think this is mass chaos. I would have liked to find an answer out before the primary. But look, the rules are the rules. And if you've got, you know, a ton of signatures from all over, from a company, an out-of-state company that's already been sued in other states for fraudulent activity, I don't blame the clerks and the Secretary of State and the Attorney General for saying, look, we're going to look over every single signature to make sure that they match. We know with AutoPin Biden and the Democrats, they're going to try everything when it comes to signatures. This company, like I said, has been sued for fraudulent activity, for bullying activity, just shoving this in somebody's face and not getting out of there until they sign. So, yeah, I think that an investigation absolutely should occur. But it's more reason why we need initiative petition reform, too. So that's why I'm encouraging everybody, if this map comes out there and if the courts say, yeah, the referendum does apply, which I don't think that they will, vote in favor of this map. And we're just getting started with redistricting, because there are a couple other things I mentioned. We've got with the Voting Rights Act and the Supreme Court saying, yeah, let's stop building districts based upon race, based upon racism. I think you're going to see next year, I can guarantee you, actually, you're going to see an effort to move to 8-0 to redistrict the city of St. Louis. But here's something that, Susie, you may know, listeners may not. There is a current lawsuit right now. The Attorney General is suing to kind of overturn the census and say it needs to be done again based upon all of the illegal immigrants that were out there. And you had a bunch of Democrat states that were allotted congressional representation based upon those numbers, based upon illegal immigrants. So if you take that out of there, if you say you should only be, doing the census and allocating congressional representation based upon legal people, well, then Missouri should get another vote. So there is a chance, and I don't know when this will come down, but there is could be a snowball's chance in hell, but there's still a chance that we could go to a 9 congressional representation state, which would mean another chance to redistrict and draw a 9-0 map.
That's pretty incredible. I've been drooling over the idea of an 8-0 map, and here you're going, actually, we could be a 9-0 map, and I'm like, holy cow.
Yeah, that lawsuit's just getting cooking, and it's here in front of Judge John Ross in the Eastern District of Missouri. I am following it very closely, but yeah, we'll definitely be keeping tabs on that, and we'll be keeping tabs on what's going on with you, Nick. We're going to have to let you go here, but let folks know where they should be looking if they want to follow along with what you're going to be doing in the off season, so to speak.
Hey, easiest thing, stay here on Sunday because starting right after Billy Crow, we've got Jeffco Patriot Radio, but then we've got St. Charles Patriot Radio. We're going to be talking one of the first state or cities in the nation to outlaw these data centers. We've got one of the councilmen coming on for that. Then we've got Stand and Fight in a great show, State Freedom Caucus Unfiltered. We're going to be talking to Minnesota with all the fraud that's happening out there. We've got a senator who's going to dig in deep with all of those facts here on Sunday night.
Awesome, Nick. Thanks so much for joining us today. Really appreciate it.
Absolutely. God bless you. Have a great weekend.
Thanks. You too. All right. How much is it going to cost you to send your kid to Mizzou this fall? More. We'll talk about that and more coming up in the news dump.
Reduced to parking space.
Hey, thank you very much for taking my call.
News, analysis, opinion.
Yes, I just want you to know what a breath of fresh air you people are.
101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL.
Yo, this is Vic. Vic for Vets is proudly honoring our veterans. Every Wednesday at 11:05, you'll hear about that day's honoree and their incredible service to our country.
Hi, it's Ken. You want to nominate a veteran? Send their name, service information, and story to me, Ken, at NewsTalkSTL.com.
Brought to you by Heroes Care, Alamo Military Collectibles, Gemini Wealth Group, Michael's Funeral Home, and Freddy's Market.
Together, let's celebrate the heroes in our community, Vic for Vets, where honor meets gratitude.
Hello, 4th of July.
Back-to-back Jack! Kerry Robinson, a hero tonight!
The Cubs visit St. Louis May 29th through the 31st for a weekend of baseball's best rivalry at Busch Stadium. The history is real, the fans are loud, and the energy in the ballpark is unmatched. Day or night, every pitch matters when these two meet. Get ready, Cardinals fans. This is what summer baseball in St. Louis is all about. Don't miss a moment of it. Get your tickets at Cardinals.com.
The weekend starts at Busch Stadium. Grab your crew and kick it off at Friday Night Live. Every Friday night home game, Budweiser Terrace turns into the hottest happy hour in the Lou. With $5 beers, $5 hot dogs, $7 margaritas, live music, and more all game long. Meet up with friends, soak in the energy, and keep the night going with baseball under the lights. Good vibes, great deals, your new Friday tradition. Get tickets now at Cardinals.com.
This hour of Mike Ferguson in the Morning is brought to you by Stifel. Request a portfolio review from your Stifel financial advisor at Stifel.com. That's STIFEL.com.
Crying parents tell their children, if you survive, don't do as we did. The son exclaims there'll be nothing to do till her daughter says she'll be dead with you. While far at the fairs are screwing rotten.
Hi, it's Randy Tobler here. Pour a big cup of coffee and catch my show every Saturday morning from 6 to 9. Right now, it's back to Mike Ferguson in the morning here on News Talk STL.
Sorry, I had to let that go. Is this The Fix?
It is.
Yeah.
I've been digging this song.
Yeah, it's a good song. The Fix had some good tunes back in the mid-'80s. Good song. Good song. I'm liking Flashback Friday so far. These are some good ones.
Very much different than the protest songs of like the 2000s, where it's all angry and angsty. This is actually something you would listen to, but it has like a point.
You mean like they actually were thought behind the lyrics?
Very well made.
Yeah. No, definitely different vibe, and different from the 60s protest songs, too. So, I'm enjoying it. Welcome back to the Mike Ferguson in the Morning Show. Susie Moore filling in for Mike today while he hopefully is sleeping in. I don't know if he's capable of it.
Well, sleeping in for him means that he gets up at like 4:30.
Right, he's already
2.
Exactly. But you know what? We're having fun while he's away. I've got Billy here with me. I've got Jerome here with me. And I alluded to this just a little moment ago. It's going to cost more to send your kid to Mizzou this year. Go figure. University of Missouri Board of Curators approved tuition increases for the 2026-27 academic year, raising undergraduate rates by about 4%, which is around $20 per credit hour, and also boosting graduate and professional program fees while noting that UM tuition still remains below the national average, so there's that.
Yeah. Should we do a news dump?
Oh, yeah.
Let's make this a news dump.
Let's do that.
The Morning News Dump, brought to you by Whistle Pig Outdoors. The Morning News Dump.
Are you joking? Is this a joke?
Listen, folks. The Morning News Dump.
See, this is why I have Jerome here with me to keep me in line, because this is what's supposed to be underlying me talking about the tuition costs. But yeah, it's going to cost more.
What do you get for it? I mean, I know we're still below the national average, but what do you get for that piece of paper?
So that's a sore subject with me. I come from a long line of Mizzou alums.
Mm-hmm.
But my parents went there. Both of my sisters went there. I went there, graduated from there, got a degree in long time ago, probably before you guys were born. And it was relatively inexpensive at the time. It was reasonably priced, I would say. And so I got my degree, and then I went on to get a graduate degree, got a law degree. So it actually did have worth.
Right.
I got trained in political science and history, and then it went on to serve me well in my law degree and then law career. So I would say I got my parents' money's worth.
But now, though, that tuition probably costs more than you spent for everything you spent education-wise.
So just like we did with the $1 trillion now, with inflation, I mean, college tuition has done the exact same thing. It's gone up, not just with inflation, it's gone up exponentially.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, a lot of that ties into the fact that it's, there's all the government behind student loans, that sort of thing.
Right.
But as the mother of a 2024 graduate of Mizzou, I can tell you, I'm glad that my daughter had the opportunity to go to college. I think it's great that she has a 4-year degree. She's not working in that field. She might at some point. I think it's great that she had the experiences that she did, but had I known then what I know now, would I do it differently? Absolutely.
Right.
Yeah. So, I mean, I'm not saying don't send your kids to Mizzou, and I'm not saying don't send them to college, but I would say before you make that investment, look long and hard at the trades, look long and hard at junior college and other alternative options, because 4-year degrees from big state universities aren't the only answer.
I've heard the song Mama Don't Let Your Kids Be Cowboys.
Mm-hmm.
I think it just needs to be updated to say Mama Don't Let Your Kids Be College Graduates.
Well, at my shop we sing Mama Don't Let Your Babies Grow Up to Be Sheet Metal Workers. So,
so there's that. and along the same lines, it looks like there's going to be a water bill rate hike for the city of St. Louis. The first read of board bill number 25 was introduced at the St. Louis City Board of Aldermen meeting on Thursday morning. It's centered around a rate hike for city water customers. City's water system's not going to make it through the end of the fiscal year without this rate, is what they're being told. Due to the aging water system, the city says it continues to cause problems and concerns. What this means is that the standard bill, which is averaging around $41, could be up to $64 by 2032. Now, $41, $64, okay, doesn't seem like a huge amount, but when you're talking about over time and every month, it does add up.
Well, I mean, I think you guys talked about it. Like how many big unpaid bills are sitting there that like these different corporations and stuff aren't paying. Like, what if everyone just paid what they owed the water company? Would they even need that rate hike?
Oh, that's a good question. Kind of tying back into the waste, fraud, and abuse aspect
absolutely,
of it.
Right?
Like, how much is getting lost because it's just not being properly paid or collected or even audited? Like, it's someone's paying but paying the wrong amount and no one's catching that.
Well, right. And I think theirs is a flat fee, right? So it's not even by like gallons or anything like that. So you can have someone that's like, filling their pool every other week, still paying the whatever it is versus someone who flushes the toilet twice.
Right. Yeah. I guess I'm glad I'm not a city resident. We're not. I mean, there'll be similar pressures wherever you are. I mean, that's just the nature of the beast. And some of that ties into people's concerns, for instance, about like data centers and the resources
There it is,
that, that they may draw on. And of course, at the top of the hour, we are going to be having an in-depth discussion about data centers and recalls and that sort of thing. So we have the perfect person here to talk with us about that, because none other than Billy Crow, who knows firsthand all about the data center battles and the recall battles and all of that's going on. I can't wait to get more of your thoughts on it. And we're going to be talking with, is it Bob Tullock?
Bob Tullock, that's right. County Councilman for District 7.
All right. So we'll stick around, because when we come back, that's what we are going to be talking about, the data center battles.
Every 40 seconds, a child disappears. That's 2,000 children every single day. Find the Children is a nonprofit organization fighting to bring them home, but we can't do it without you. Your unwanted car, running or not, can help find missing kids, reunite families, and support the search and rescue efforts that protect children every day. We'll pick it up fast and free with a 24-hour response, and your donation may qualify for a tax deduction. Find the Children provides crucial resources to help locate missing children and educational programs that teach kids how to recognize and avoid predators before it's too late. Together, we can give families hope and bring children home where they belong. Donate your car today and help bring a child home. Find the Children, because every child deserves to come home.
800-757-1340. 800-757-1340. That's 800-757-1340.
This advertisement was paid for in partnership with Cars R Us and Find the Children.
A Disney cruise is no ordinary vacation. It's an adventure, a fairy tale, a dream. Step aboard and discover where favorite Disney characters meet fun for the whole family, where total rest and relaxation meet the ultimate escape and excitement, where a dream vacation meets a magical cruise. Only on Disney Cruise Line, where magic meets the sea.
Magic Expeditions will make planning your Disney cruise easy. Reach out at magicexpeditions.com.
When it's important to you,
what St. Louis is talking about.
It's on News Talk STL.
Vacate your engine room. We're prepared to subject you to the signaling fire.
It ought to be a lesson to think they can run a U.S. Navy blockade.
News, analysis, opinion.
They've gotten away with murder for 47 years. They're not getting away with it anymore.
He started this. He's the one who should be paying for it, but it doesn't come out of his pocket. It comes out of our pocket.
101.9 and 94.1.
My talk station.
News Talk STL. KLGY HD3 Clayton, K270BW Bellefonte, KNBS Bowling Green. This is News Talk STL at 101.9, 94.1, and always streaming at newstalkstl.com.
Breaking news this hour from Town Hall. I'm Rich Thomason. It's recess time for the Senate. Senators have left Washington for their holiday break without voting on roughly $70 billion for immigration enforcement. They leave town amid Republican disagreements over a $1.8 billion fund to compensate those who say they've been the victims of lawfare waged by the Biden Department of Justice. All eyes on Secretary of State Rubio addressing a NATO foreign ministers meeting in Sweden.
This is the first gathering of NATO foreign ministers since the start of the war on Iran, with the alliance under continuing strain over its fallout. The Trump administration has at times angrily demanded more help from its allies, many of whom have in turn privately shunned the risk of getting drawn into a war they don't see as part of NATO's mutual defence concept and which they weren't consulted about. Before boarding the plane to Sweden, asked by the BBC about unconfirmed reports the US could shrink its total troop numbers available in the event of an attack on a NATO country, Mr. Rubio said some of those issues would be discussed today.
The BBC's Tom Bateman. Secretary Rubio says a peaceful solution of the standoff with Cuba's communist regime is looking less likely, although he says the administration would prefer a diplomatic solution. The U.S. Marines have showcased their formidable capabilities with a live-fire exercise in Japan, showcasing the HIMARS mobile rocket system. The exercise, part of a strategy aimed at deterring potential Chinese aggression against Taiwan. He was a husband, a father, and a NASCAR champ. Kyle Busch has died at just 41 years of age. He passed away in the hospital, suffering what his family calls a severe illness. Watching Wall Street this morning, the Dow futures are up 178 points. NASDAQ futures 60 points higher. The S&P futures better by 16. More on these stories, townhall.com.
Looking for a great real estate agent? Someone who can help you sell your home fast and for top dollar? Go to ready.com, REDY.com. Because on Ready, agents will pay you just for the opportunity to sell your home. Yeah, on Ready, agents will pay you for your listing. Thousands of dollars up front just for a chance to sell your home. And it's easy. Just go to ready.com, enter your address, and when you want to sell. In just 48 hours, the best local agents are competing on Ready to be your agent with cash offers up front just to win your business. Hey, your listing is valuable. Don't give it away. Make those agents earn it. Get paid to pick your real estate agent. Go to ready.com or call 800-885-REDY. 800-88.
From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
I'm meteorologist Shan Scotch with your first alert forecast. We're going to continue to track temperatures into the upper 60s with some scattered showers. That starts to appear during the afternoon hours, lasting through the early evening and early overnight hours. Saturday looking dry. Temperatures back towards the lower 80s until we head towards the late afternoon, early evening hours. Could see some isolated chances of showers and storms. More chances of scattered showers into Sunday. Then Monday, temperatures towards mid to lower 80s, looking drier for much of the region. From the First Alert 4 Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Shan Scott.
This hour of News Talk STL is brought to you by Stifel, serving investors for over 130 years. Contact your Stifel financial advisor at stifel.com. That's STIFEL.com.
You are not your diagnosis.
A medical chart is not your identity.
And vision loss does not define you.
Your drive shows who you are.
And you are not alone.
Because we are driven too.
To be a beacon of strength.
A champion of courage.
An advocate for hope.
You are not alone.
Because we are stronger together.
We drive the research for the cures we are finding.
We're fighting macular degeneration,
retinitis pigmentosa,
Usher syndrome,
and the entire spectrum of blinding retinal diseases.
We fund.
We fight.
We win.
We
are the foundation fighting blindness.
Together, we are fighting blindness.
Join the fight at fightingblindness.org.
Let's get real. Here's the truth about eliminating Missouri's income tax.
I'm here with State Representative Bishop Davidson. And Bishop, you've heard the complaints about the proposal. Here's your colleague, Representative Ashley Awney.
Frankly, the only thing that this resolution does is increase sales taxes.
So what does this do and what does it not do if we say yes?
The first part of this constitutional amendment is a constitutional shall. It's a guarantee to the people in Missouri that if they vote for this, that their legislature will enact and shall enact legislation to eliminate income taxes using natural economic growth over time. That means when the economy grows, instead of it going back into the coffers of the state, it goes into the pockets of Missourians. The second part is a constitutional may. It allows the legislature to have a conversation around sales taxes, but only so that they can eliminate income taxes faster and reduce local tax rates like personal property tax and real property.
Get the facts at afpmissouri.com. Mike Ferguson.
I listen to 80s music. I love Debbie Gibson.
Susie Moore.
You got into Harvard Law?
What, like it's hard?
Get up, can't you hear the alarm?
Get up, St. Louis.
So it's time to get out of bed. Pour yourself the greatest cup of Kofifi the world has ever seen. Rise up with one voice, drain the swamp, and take back our country. Today's the day we're going to do it, and it's time to do it right now, believe me.
Mike Ferguson in the morning on News Talk STL.
Get up, this is your cousin.
Welcome back to Mike Ferguson in the Morning Show. I got Jerome here. What do you got? You got a message for us?
I was just going to say, Billy's Kofifi dance is getting a little bit better.
Yeah, he has upped his Kofifi dance game.
I'm warming up, you know?
Yeah, so we got Billy here, we got me here, we got Jerome here. Mike is taking a well-deserved day off, and we are about to get into the topic of topics, data centers.
Yeah.
Billy, as I mentioned, you are a subject matter expert.
Yeah.
This has been a hot topic in your neck of the woods in particular. It's a hot topic everywhere. This seems to be something that, no pun intended, gets people energized.
It does. Well, that's a good pun too.
Just came to me. And I want to take a step back and kind of do the 30,000-foot view on this, because my 93-year-old mother, who, wouldn't know AI if it barked at her, but she uses it without realizing she's using it, because she still does use a computer, that sort of thing. But she's asked me several times, because of course there's been a lot of local news coverage.
Yep.
What exactly is a data center? And I start to explain it to her, and then I realize, I'm not even sure I have the actual words to adequately sum up what it is. So what would you sum it up as?
It's a giant hard drive.
Oh.
That's what it is. It's a giant hard drive. And then there's certain different types of them, right? There are those that are for cloud storage. There are those that are for doing processing for AI algorithms and stuff like that. There's different things that happen in them, but at the core of them, they're literally just giant hard drives, giant computers that are just sitting there computing again and again and again, right? And it's funny you mentioned getting people energized. People don't necessarily are getting so worked up they're not even paying attention to what's happening. And so one of the things I wanted to talk about today, and hopefully our friend Bob picks up the phone here and talks about it. There was a meeting in Arnold because yesterday I texted you because you guys were talking about the Festus recall, and as I've been reminded of, I'm not getting recalled. People are trying to get signatures so that I can be recalled on the county council. But here's the deal: I didn't vote on a data center. I've talked about the economic benefits of data centers. The only thing that we've done at the council level is we had a committee looking at, okay, here's what data centers are, here's what they do, here's what it could look like if it came to the county. How do we make sure that we protect our citizens if one wants to come to Jefferson County? And so at that meeting with this group of folks that are trying to recall me, their lawyer said while they were talking about all the data center regulations, these are the best data center regulations, the strictest ones I've ever seen across the country and all the places I've researched. And yet they still are so worked up over trying to recall me. They're not even looking at the facts that their environmental lawyers saying, actually, Jefferson County did an amazing job. They're light years ahead of other places in the country. But they want to, again, throw the baby out with the bathwater because they're just angry because they don't understand.
What do you think it is that is tapping into people's fears and concerns?
Well, I think there's a couple things, right? I mean, there's the fear of the unknown. There is the actual real piece of false information being propagated by foreign actors. That is real, whether you want to believe it or not, and to how much extent that actually plays into people's fears, right? But I think there's this other piece of it's very much, particularly online, a rage culture.
Oh, yeah.
Right? And so this is a very easily raged thing because you're not going after a person or a people group. You're going after corporate overlords and a giant computer.
It's rage against the machine, Billy.
Literally rage against the machine. So,
firing on all cylinders here today. I had my coffee.
So it is. It's incredible to see that when their side goes, actually, this is pretty good, guys. It's the best that's out there, and they're just still wanting to yell at the top of their lungs.
Right. I do get the sense that there no question there are legitimate concerns and questions that need to be addressed and answered. And it sounds like Jefferson County has gone to the extra effort of looking ahead and saying, okay, how can we make sure that on a preemptive basis we are addressing these concerns so that we can properly address this issue.
Right. And because we saw what was going on in Festus and went, ooh.
That's a problem.
We don't want to do that because that doesn't help. That doesn't help the community. Like that kind of rhetoric doesn't help the community. That kind of talk around it, the excitement, it doesn't build anything. It just ends up tearing things down. Yeah. How do we avoid creating that kind of conflict in the unincorporated county?
Well, so, I mean, kudos to you guys for at least trying to address that, even if people aren't quite understanding that and are just kind of lashing out. I do know that I think yesterday we were talking about the fact that Missouri just announced there's going to be another $15 billion project out kind of near in Montgomery County, right next to, there's already a huge Amazon project out there kind of near New Florence. So if you're heading down 70 going to Columbia, it's like the halfway mark between St. Charles and Columbia.
Yeah.
And that's like a $35 billion project, and then this is a $15 billion project from Google right next to it. So you're going to have side by side these two giant hard drives. And I don't know. I'm assuming they're going to be visible from the highway.
Yeah, I can't imagine that from the highway that they wouldn't be, right? Because typically when those sorts of developments go up, you don't want the neighbors, the residentials, to see them. And that's actually kind of a funny conversation too when it's talked about development. Everybody's like, I want a pretty building. Like then buy a building and make it pretty. I get off on my property rights soapbox there, but yeah, I mean, I'm sure they're going to be visible from there. But the other thing is, like, versus other industrial sites, versus a lead smelter, versus a steel mill. Let's look at the amount of pollutants this thing is really putting off. Now, I had someone, a constituent in Jefferson County, email that I wasn't looking hard enough into digital smog. Not sure what that is, but I don't think it's real.
Is it something that kind of is along the same lines of people's concerns regarding like 5G?
It seemed on that bandwidth, right? But there was no elaboration, so I was like, I don't know about that one. But again, yes, the diesel generators have to run once in a while, and emergency backups and stuff like that. But again, you got diesel trucks going up and down I-70, I-55 all day long. So I don't see how that's any different. And it's really funny talking about being in a residential, if it's next to a residential area. I guarantee you in that subdivision, half the trucks in Jefferson County are diesel, and they're probably deleted, and they're probably just, rolling coal as they go down the street to get onto the highway because guilty as charged right here, right? All of those pieces are not, while they should be cared about, they should be looked at. When they're looked at, if you still are like, I hate it, just say it. Just say, I hate progress. I mean, it's okay. We can have, as long as you're honest, and we can have that discussion. Like, we just need to get on reality.
What about I keep hearing people talk about the noise issue. Do we know? I mean, do they generate a hum or like a buzz? What's the...
So this is a great, and again, this is why I wish Bob was on the show here this morning, because he actually went and visited the one in Iowa and helped us when we were talking about our setbacks. Because the setbacks, I mean, he literally stood at 500 foot and went, I can't hear it, right?
Right.
They do. They give off, there's the cooling systems that give off a hum, just like your air conditioner. Just think of your air conditioner times 1,000, right?
Right.
And then there is obviously the electronic buzz of all the electricity, just like, again, if you're by the high voltage lines, you can hear the buzz and the pop, right? It's no different, just a little bit bigger. But again, we put in regulations that say 65 decibel. Well, hold on. Don't quote me on this. There's two different levels of whether it's residential versus other commercial industrial, right?
Okay.
But these are your decibel limits. Right. And whether, 100 generators are running or no generators running, it's just that buzz. You can't cross this decibel threshold because, yeah, I would hate to be, if I bought a house next to a farm, okay, and there was a big building project next to it, if it was constant noise all night, that would really tick me off, right? Even though I don't own that land, it's a legitimate concern. But if it's in the middle of an industrial park, who cares what it looks like? And that was one of my biggest things is like, I'm a free market guy. We're regulating these harder than any other industrial type facility in Jefferson County.
One last question here. Who do you think is behind the push because someone's ginning up the concern. Someone is motivating this outrage. Mm-hmm. And I'm trying to get a purely economic or, incentive kind of idea about who's really against this.
So in Jefferson County in particular, I'll just flat out say it. I think I'm going to get a lot of flack for this, but the Democrats have seen this as their opportunity to regain some clout and importance in Jefferson County. Okay. And they are when you look at the people that are behind the Wake Up Jeffco or the Jefferson County, Conserve Jefferson County, they are people that are players in the Democratic Party in Jefferson County. And I do know that some Republicans have legitimate concerns about some of this stuff, but the fomenting, the getting people worked up, the having these meetings, that is the Democratic side of the aisle. They see this as their way back to prominence in Jefferson County. Now, on a grander scale, I think we had on Jeffco Patriot Radio last Sunday, and I know he was on Tim Jones and Chris Arp's show, a gentleman from, I think it's like Power, Missouri or something like that was his name, Bill Learman. I can't remember his name. Anyways, But he talks about like all of these, different outside influences that are from out of state, out of country, your typical left-wing funders that have been funding all the Green New Deal stuff that have went, ooh, I'm dumping money into this now because, again, it's energy consumption, it's water consumption, it's advancing human civilization instead of holding it back for Mother Earth. So therefore, the George Soros of the world and all that are actually funding behind it. You can trace all the money and all of that stuff. It's legit.
Interesting. Well,
all right, I'll take off my tinfoil hat.
No, you know what? But I appreciate you. First of all, I'm glad that you were here to talk about it because I think that gets to some of the core issues that people are they're wrestling with, but they don't even really understand like all of the different facets of it, and that helped kind of lay a lot of them out. So that was very helpful.
Yeah.
So thank you. All right, which leftist said the dumbest thing this week? We know there's always stiff competition, but we'll take a listen at the worst of the week up next.
You have a soul so dark, it is no more. And all at once depart, no destination. Making cold my heart to fight your war. Stop it right now. I have had enough of this.
Mike Ferguson in the morning.
Everybody wants me to dance. Could you imagine FDR dancing?
On News Talk STL. Larry Connors USA.
With Larry Connors USA, you get news, analysis, opinion, and education.
Larry Connors USA. Now weeknights 6 until 8 on News Talk STL.
Tired of settling for generic fishing gear? Say hello to Bullseye Bait and Tackle, O'Fallon's one-stop shop for serious anglers. Live bait, premium tackle, rods, reels, and an unbeatable selection of lures from top brands like Megabass, Zoom, and Berkley. Whether you're after bass, catfish, crappie, or bluegill, they've got the gear to help you land the big one. Plus, their expert team, led by Mark and Liz, provides rod and reel repair services. Bullseye Bait and Tackle, 266 Fort Zumwalt Square, or at bullseyebaitandtackle.net.
Rhino Shield is engineered to outlast paint by a lot, backed with our 25-year transferable warranty. Paint a house, shield a home. We do brick, block, stucco, asbestos, steel, aluminum, cedar, and more. We are the only coating company selected by Disney, This Old House, and 3 times on HGTV's Curb Appeal, where all 3 episodes concentrate on unpainted brick. If you maintain or own a business with a tired-looking building, you owe it to yourself to look at Rhino Shield and our beautifully durable color schemes. Evaluations are free. We're making buildings pop and be noticed again, from Champaign to the Lake of the Ozarks, exceeding expectations every day with our products, people, and performance. Now is the time to call 877-25-RHINO, 877-25-RHINO, or go to 877-25rhino.com and see how honest and transparent we really are. Tell them, ladies.
Don't paint, don't vinyl, go Rhino Shield. Never paint your house again. Rhino Shield.
News Talk STL.
First thing in the morning and pretty much all day.
Live and local. 1019 and 94.1. News Talk STL. The 80s. Bueller.
The 80s.
Let's go while we're young.
Never been a decade like it.
Shall we play a game?
Never will be.
Where are the beat?
It's Flashback Friday.
How can we dance when our earth is turning? How do we sleep while our beds are burning? How can we dance when our earth is turning? How do we sleep while our beds are burning?
Let's get back to all this madcap mayhem with Mike Ferguson in the morning. But don't forget, stick around for Jones and Arps every Monday through Friday, 4 to 6 p.m.
Oh, it's madcap mayhem, all right. Welcome back to the Mike Ferguson in the Morning Show. Susie Moore here filling in for Mike while he is out on well-deserved break today. I've got Billy Crow here with me. Got Jerome here with me. We got Midnight Oil rocking us in through the protest Flashback Friday.
Oh, yeah.
What a good song.
Mm-hmm.
I'm actually surprised they didn't have more hits. I think they might have had one or two other songs that kind of got there. This was definitely the biggest one, but that was like a good kind of like solid groove, like nice. I don't know, good stuff.
Very good request. This one was actually one of the most requested ones of the week.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, I want to give props to our listeners and the people that send in the requests because you guys have done a great job. I have really been enjoying our flashback music today.
Oh yeah. Well, every Friday we have a little something different going on.
It's true.
The way that our musical taste of our audience is just phenomenal when it comes to making playlists.
You know what? It is. We've got the best audience ever.
Oh yeah.
Something else we like to do on Fridays is kind of from our friends at Media Research Center, see what they have to say. They compile these clips of just ridiculous things that were said during the week, and they sent us one this week. We want to talk about that.
Once Trump puts his name on prescriptions, we're all going to die.
Don't you wish there was a pill to cure TDS? But will that be the worst media quote of the week?
It was the worst.
Option number 1, MS Now's Katie Tur displays her stunning ignorance of history.
What about this passage from Mike Johnson declaring that our rights do not derive from government, they come from you, our creator, and Heavenly Father? Is this him putting God over the Declaration of Independence?
Option number 2, the views Joy Behar claims because of the Trump prescription program, we're all gonna die.
This is a mistake, and once Trump puts his name on prescriptions, we're all going to die, okay?
And option number 3, Jon Stewart dreams of the day that voters repudiate the Trump administration.
The day that the electorate in this great nation we call home repudiates this putrid administration, the day that that happens, my brother, there will be, and I mean this, the day that that happens, there will be a joyful noise from the bowels of this great country.
Did he say bowels?
He did. He did.
A joyful noise from the bowels. Yeah.
We got a lot to work with, don't we? And let's take them in reverse order. I want to get what each of you think, like which one of yours is your pick. But yeah, a joyful noise from the bowels of this country.
Yeah, yeah.
Like, was he intentionally talking about a really gross bodily function kind of thing? Or was he just, did he wander into that?
Yeah, I think, well,
it's Jon Stewart.
Well, to be fair, I am really terrible about like those like phrases like that, like, you know, joyful noise from the bowels of the country, right?
Mm-hmm.
Bowels. There are many times that I say those famous like phrases wrong. One of my wife's favorites is when I say you never kick a gift horse in the mouth.
Well, it's true, you shouldn't. You
right,
really
that's what
shouldn't.
I said, right? So, you know, maybe he's got a little problem like that, like I do. So I'll give him that one.
You can lead a horse to water, but you can't make him fish.
That's right.
It's also true. Also, yeah, and then you can blow that bridge up when you come to it.
Yeah,
right?
that bridge when you get to it.
All of those malapropisms are great. Yeah, you know, obviously, okay, we get it, John. This is a putrid administration. You can't wait till it's repudiated, which I don't know how. I got to believe he understands the fact that this administration is going to be gone in 2.5 years.
Sure.
Like, because that's the way the system works. It's not going to be repudiated. It's going to be gone.
Well, I think that's the whole way Trump deranged syndrome works, though, right? Like, they think voting against the party is voting against the man, and so vote out all Republicans in this midterms, and therefore we're repudiating him.
Yes.
But
I still can't get over Katie Tur's questioning Mike Johnson. Is he putting God over the Declaration of Independence? Well, if you read the Declaration of Independence, you will notice that they opened with, hey, our rights come from God, not government.
Yeah. You know, I mean, so making a joyful noise unto, it makes me think of make a joyful noise unto the Lord. It's like,
that's exactly
there we
what
go.
I was thinking.
And yeah, so Joy Behar is going to Joy Behar, and we're all going to die. Yeah, Joy. You know what, Joy? We all are going to die. That's the way it works. But in any event, Katie Tur for me takes the cake.
I agree. Just like, again, how out of touch are you with history? Now, Joy Behar, I think she made the best argument against socialized medicine.
Yeah.
But so I mean, I'm just saying. But yeah, like when you're hearing her talk, the first one talking about like the Constitution or the Declaration of Independence, it's like, man, you just didn't read it, did you? You didn't read it.
Well, not only did she not read it, and I wonder if, like, sometimes you hear them making, like, these comments and you can kind of tell, like, halfway through they're thinking, oh, wait a second, I might have gotten that backwards. Because she does this weird thing where she's like, do you think he's putting, like, God above the Declaration? And that should have been one of those moments where there's, like, a record scratch and everyone goes, yeah? Like, do you not?
Right.
founding fathers themselves put God over the Declaration.
And in it.
Yeah, literally.
Yeah.
They want to separate the separate and equal station to which laws of nature and nature's God entitle them. And that's in the first paragraph of the Declaration of Independence when they're talking about why are we about to tell you what we're going to tell you.
We hold these truths to be self-evident. I mean,
endowed by your creator. You're not created by government. You're not created by a parchment. You're created by God. I mean, that's...
So I haven't looked into what Katie Tur's background is. She's a journalist, air quotes. But presumably she went to a 4-year university, got a degree, probably journalism related. I'm not sure how she managed to make it this far in life and has a career on air and doesn't understand, A, the basic language of the Declaration itself, and B, the basic concept of natural rights and God-given rights.
Yeah.
How do you not get that?
No, I mean, yeah, even if you don't agree with it, you understand like the concept and where it comes from. To act so stupefied that someone would basically quote the Declaration.
Yeah, she seemed bemused by this. Not just like, I think this is a backwards way of looking at it. Okay, you can take that stance, particularly if you're an atheist or whatever.
Right.
Okay, that's fine. I mean, you could presumably take that stance and defend it to a certain degree. She just seemed bewildered by this concept.
It was all new to her.
I'm bewildered by her.
Well, just wait until she finds out what the founding fathers had to say about it. So John Adams, this is a famous quote from him. Our Constitution was made for a moral and religious people. It is wholly inadequate to the government of any other.
Yeah.
So not only are we putting God above the Declaration of Independence, we're putting God above the Constitution because, again, we derive our rights and our freedoms by the nature of being human, but by our creator who is God.
Yeah.
How is that controversial? You can say we should, and again, the same people that were very much saying, hey, our rights come from God, are also saying, by the way, we don't want to be a theocratic nation. We should still have separation of powers.
Yeah.
We should still have separation of church and state and religious freedom. But why is it some sort of controversy or gotcha that, you think God is above the... I mean, I love the Declaration of Independence, and yes, God's above that.
Yeah.
I'm going to put an exclamation point on this. Katie Tur is the daughter of journalists Zoe Tur and Marika Gerard. So she's got journalists in her background, in her family. She graduated from the University of California, Santa Barbara. Okay, UC Santa Barbara. Maybe they're just not that great. With a Bachelor of Arts in philosophy. How do you get a degree in philosophy and not understand God-given rights, natural rights, and that is a core principle upon which this nation was founded?
Yeah.
How do you do that?
Yeah, because I mean, the Declaration is like literally like an outpouring of a philosopher on government. Like that is what I mean. Thomas Jefferson at his core was a philosopher.
Yeah.
And I feel completely more confused than she was about that statement. I am confused that she didn't understand the statement.
Seriously, like, you can say, okay, maybe philosophy isn't the most practical degree, although it can lend itself to other fields.
Yeah,
it honestly
absolutely.
can, but there's no way you go through and study philosophy and don't understand who John Locke is. I mean, I don't understand.
Does she not know about the Enlightenment period, which was not a moment?
She has not been enlightened.
It was not an atheistic thing. It was just a revitalization of the way that we conceptualize politics and religion. Right. I've taken like junior college courses in philosophy, and I know what the Reformation, the Renaissance, all that stuff was about.
Yeah, I mean, I just.
So who's the worst?
Katie Tur is by far the worst.
Far.
You know, Stewart's crass. Behar's dumb. Katie Tur is like, galaxy brain dumb. I don't understand how you get that.
So a unanimous Katie Tur vote?
Yes.
All right, folks. We reposted this poll if you want to play along on the NewsTalkSTL official X account. I'll post it up on the Facebook as well, but you can give your vote to who had the worst in media this week.
The time has come.
I think you all know that I've always felt the 9 most terrifying words in the English language are, I'm from the government and I'm here to help.
How can we dance when our earth is turning? How do we sleep while our beds are burning?
From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
I'm meteorologist Shan Scotch with your first alert forecast. We're going to continue to track temperatures into the upper 60s with some scattered showers. That starts to appear during the afternoon hours, lasting through the early evening and early overnight hours. Saturday looking dry. Temperatures back towards the lower 80s until we head towards the late afternoon, early evening hours. Could see some isolated chances of showers and storms. More chances of scattered showers into Sunday. Then Monday, temperatures towards mid to lower 80s, looking drier for much of the region. For the First Alert 4 Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Shan Scotch.
Democracy is loud, and on Tuesday, June 2nd, you can be right in the middle of it. News Talk STL is bringing the St. Charles County Executive Primary Debate to Lindenwood University in St. Charles at the J. Scheidegger Center for the Arts. No reservations, no tickets, just show up. Can't make it in person? Catch every word live on News Talk STL from 7 to 8:30 p.m. The St. Charles County Executive Primary Debate on June 2nd. Brought to you by the St. Charles County Republican Central Committee, Mid-Rivers News Magazine, Lewis & Clark's Pachyderms Club, and the Hammond Institute for Free Enterprise at Lindenwood University. Larry Connor's Commentary, brought to you by Vincent's Jewelers, offering a wide selection of jewelry, including lab-grown diamonds, affordable earrings, bracelets, necklaces, and rings, up to 75% off their natural counterparts. Visit VincentsJewelers.com. This is Larry Connor's Commentary on News Talk STL.
I don't care. I really don't care if I hurt someone's feelings based on what I'm going to say. I expect pushback from some, maybe praise from others, but I'm not making remarks for either. I'm just sick and tired, disgusted, nauseated by the Hollywood or music stars who make a great living in our nation, only to turn around and trash it. There are many examples. The latest, Bruce Springsteen. At a recent concert in Minneapolis, he took time from performing to lecture the crowd on how bad America was, and waving a No King sign. Since he was in a blue city, blue state, I'm sure he expected massive applause. But as one at the concert later said, what an elitist, self-righteous POS. That is a piece of stuff. Another said, I came from music, not a political speech. And that echoed maybe what many thought. Springsteen has had several big hits. Dancing in the Dark, Born to Run, and a 1984 song, Born in the USA. And only in the USA could that collection of music get him $500 million from a nation and people he condemns.
Get more Larry Connors on Larry Connors USA.
Tonight at 6 on News Talk STL.
Spring weather has everyone sneezing, even inside their home or building. Instead of saying Gesundheit, call Wellington Environmental to perform air tests to determine if mold levels are too high. Gesundheit is the same as saying bless you after someone sneezes, the German word meaning wishing you good health. Wellington Environmental can perform air testing that is simple, fast, and can identify issues keeping you from having good health. Wellington does the same for hospitals and nursing homes for indoor concerns. Give them a call. It's simple. 314-644-4930. 644-4930. Tell Cindy, I need air sampling. They've seen it all. They can help you. Next time you hear Gesundheit, think Wellington. Wellington Environmental. Be well with Wellington.
Life's legal challenges deserve experienced representation. For over 15 years, Cole Combs Attorney at Law has been serving St. Charles and surrounding counties with comprehensive legal expertise. From tax preparation and estate planning to family law and criminal defense, Cole delivers personalized solutions for your unique situation. You have traffic tickets, need a business formation, real estate matters, one call will handle it all. Cole O. Combs Attorney at Law. Call 636-949-0010 extension 3 today or visit colecombs-law.com.
If you have a phone, you have a radio.
Wherever I'm at, home, car, wherever.
Download the all-new News Talk STL app.
If you have a phone, you have a radio.
Just the convenience on the phone.
Streaming live on the mobile app.
Love the new app.
And listen anytime.
Everywhere.
Anywhere. The 80s.
Excellent.
Never been a decade like it. Never will be. It's Flashback Friday.
99 red balloons floating in the summer sky. Panic bells, it's red alert. There's something here from somewhere else. The war machine springs to life, opens up one eager eye, focusing it on the sky. The 99 red balloons go by.
The Mike Ferguson Show is one of my favorite programs. In addition to Larry Connor's USA, catch my program at 6. Now, back to Mike.
Thanks, Larry. Good tune.
All I can think of is Pauly Shore's Biodome when I hear this.
It's featured prominently in that, isn't it?
It did.
Well, welcome back to the Mike Ferguson in the Morning Show. This is Susie Moore filling in for Mike, doing my best anyway. I got Billy Crow here with me. I got Jerome here with me, and we are joined now by the one, the only Sister Toldja, also known as Stacey Matthews. Stacey, welcome back to Mike Ferguson in the Morning.
Good morning, y'all, and good morning, Billy and Jerome and everybody listening. Good to be with you today.
Well, I'm glad to have you with us. There was a couple of things that you've been covering lately that I did want to get into with you right off the bat. There's been so much news and coverage about the redistricting battles in all the different states, and each state is kind of having its own struggle over what kind of maps they're going to have and who's going to actually have the upper hand. Virginia, of course, recently passed the sort of god-awful measure that would take them from a 6-5 Democrat advantage to a 10-1 Democrat advantage in terms of their congressional representation. But the Virginia Supreme Court said, no, not so fast. We don't think you actually did that the right way. And now there have been threats, blowback against the Virginia Supreme Court justices, including from some pretty prominent people, some pretty prominent Democrats. What's going on with this Democrat that made an astonishing threat against the Supreme Court justices?
Well, Susie, just to catch anybody up who may not be aware, the Virginia Democrats, when the Supreme Court of Virginia ruled that the process that they used to get the referendum on the ballot was violated the Virginia Constitution, the idea was being floated. There was a meeting that was held a couple of days later, emergency meeting. Hakeem Jeffries was part of the meeting, and one of the ideas that was floated was to actually lower the mandatory retirement age for the justices to 54. And that would have wiped out every justice on the bench, including 2 black justices who voted, did not vote with the majority. And keep in mind that the Virginia Supreme Court justice, they are picked by the state legislature there, the General Assembly there. So they kind of have a little power over who gets to serve. And so anyway, that was floated, which was crazy enough. But after the Supreme Court of the United States said, we're going to let this ruling stand, then there was a bunch of blowback. And one of the blowback came from Delegate Dan Helmer. And Dan Helmer is a special kind of Democrat. I mean, they're all Democrats in Virginia are some of the snottiest and smug you'll probably ever come across in your life. But Dan Helmer is a little extra special. He had planned to run in what they call the Lobster District, which was the 7th District in Virginia. That's the way it was drawn, to look kind of like a lobster. And he's attempted to run for Congress before twice and lost. So this district was drawn for him. So when all the rulings came down and said, no, your referendum was wrong, this map is basically invalid, he lost out on his chance to run because that district, it already has a representative in the current form, and it's I apologize, I don't have it's Representative Vindman, Eugene Vindman. He was going to originally run in the 1st district, but since the map is invalid, he now has to run in his district. So Dan Helmer can no longer run because he's not going to challenge a Democrat incumbent. And so now he actually gave an interview a few days ago where he said that the General Assembly will have to reform Virginia's top court and judicial appointment process, including term limits, enforceable ethics code, and possibly adding justices. And he said, we will make sure that Justice Kelsey does not serve anymore come this January. I mean, this is judicial intimidation on a big time level here, this attempt. Now, I don't know how much support that he has for this, but seeing what Virginia Democrats have already done in the last 2 months, Susie, I wouldn't put it past them to do this. The person who wrote Justice Kelsey is the person who wrote the opinion that basically invalidated the map and the process around it. So this is kind of a judicial intimidation on a pretty extreme level.
Sister Toldja, this is Billy Crow here. When you see all these things, it's a political world. We play the game. We play by the rules. Sometimes you win. Sometimes you lose. Why do you think that they just keep wanting to go, the Democrats just have this thing where they just always want to keep changing the rules. I mean, going back to the court packing days of the 1930s, right? We just want to keep changing the rules until we get our way.
Well, it's because Democrats never think they're wrong, Billy, and I'm sure you know
Yeah.
that very well. They never think that they're wrong, and I'll be honest with you, I am not a purist when it comes to redistricting. I'm in North Carolina. Republicans here were out of power pretty much for like a century until like 2010, thanks in part to gerrymandering. So, I'm one of those people that's like, to the victor goes the spoils, so
Right.
to speak, but do it properly. Do it. Don't violate your state's constitution to do it. And Virginia Democrats, according to the Supreme Court of their state, did not do that. And remember, some of these justices that voted, well, actually, all of the justices that voted the way that they did were put there by the Virginia House of Delegates and the Senate. So it's just, but again, it's just extreme. You had them considering lowering the mandatory retirement age to 54, which would have wiped out everybody, and they would have had to put all new justices on the maps, presumably justices that would have been, receptive to their plan. It's just extreme, and I think they've overshot themselves basically on this, Billy, because voters there back in November, they voted for Democrats to be in charge, and now they're seeing what Democrats are willing to do to keep and maintain and expand that power. And hopefully, maybe it'll change a few minds come the fall. Who knows?
Yeah, there doesn't really seem to be a limit to it. Speaking of Democrats and kind of wonkiness, craziness, you've had your sights on one of our senators, Ruben Gallego. He represents Arizona in the U.S. Senate. And first of all, he got a little heat not too long ago because he was best buddies with Eric Swalwell, who, of course, has been kind of ridden out of town on a rail. But he's now come to the defense of Graham Plattner, who is the Democratic candidate running for Senate in Maine, who has, well, let's see, just for starters, a Nazi tattoo, a horrible social media history. And Gallego's like kind of trying to just hand wave it away.
Exactly, Susie. And in particular, what he's trying to wave away in this instance is some more Reddit posts that have been unearthed. Graham Plattner has an extensive internet history, and as we all know, if you have an internet history, if you've said even one little offensive thing, it will come back to haunt you if you run for public office. And it's happened with Graham Plattner because he's said a lot on Reddit platform. And one of the things that was unearthed recently, Susie, and I'll try to keep it brief and censored for certain people who shouldn't hear this, but he said some pretty gross things about things that he likes to do in the bathroom.
Ooh.
And anyway, so this was the latest scandal, and Ruben Gallego, again, who was besties with Eric Swalwell, who does not have the best reputation anymore, never really did, but especially now. He's Swalwell's bestie, and now Gallego, he logged on and he saw the Fox News story about this, and he said, "Did Fox News talk to any deployed Marine before posting? If the goal is to make him more relatable to veterans, then mission accomplished." So he's saying that talking about doing things in the bathroom that should only be between yourself and the bathroom wall is making him more relatable. I don't think so. But this is the extreme levels that Democrats are going to excuse the type of people that they want to put in office. Keep in mind, Graham Plattner is not just a candidate. He's the presumptive nominee who is going to be taking on Susan Collins in the fall. And they're having to defend the Nazi tattoo. They're having to defend statements he's made about Black people, blaming sexual assault victims, and now this. It's like, is there anything that this guy can say or do that they will not defend?
It's really interesting. I think it goes back to, we talk about it so many times on this show, like the Trump derangement syndrome. Like, if the shoe was on the other foot, right, it would be like, oh my gosh, he's the worst. But yet somehow he's our guy, so we got to support him. It's like, what do you think it is that makes these guys just want to double down on these indefensible friends of theirs?
Well, Billy, again, it just goes back to Democrats are never wrong. They think their platform is correct, and they think that the ends justifies the means. They will put in whatever they'd put in a piece of roadkill if the roadkill would vote against Trump.
Yeah,
okay.
Right.
You know, and that's not to say that there's not some good Democrats out there. There are some out there. It's just that they're not making themselves well known at this moment.
That's very charitable, Stacey. Very charitable way of looking at it, but I would tend to agree. Having come from a long line of Democrats, I would agree with that. Well, Stacey, appreciate you joining us today on the Mike Ferguson in the Morning Show. Before we let you go, let the listeners know where the best place is for them to check out your work and follow along with you on social media.
You can check out my work and Susie's too at RedState.com.
Awesome, Stacey. Thanks so much.
Thanks, guys.
All right. Well, Congress failed to get the job done before skedaddling out of town for the Memorial Day holiday. We'll give you the details on that up next.
When you're approaching retirement, there are a lot of questions to answer. Do you have enough money to fund your income for life? How should you claim Social Security? And what's your plan for health care and long-term care? Hi, I'm Eric Robert, Director of Investments with the ClearPath Wealth Management Group at Stifel and host of On the Money Saturday mornings at 9 on NewsTalkSTL 1019. Don't leave your retirement to chance. It's crucial to understand and address relevant risks before you retire. Our team can help you get organized, guide you through critical retirement decisions, and create an investment portfolio designed around your needs. To schedule your free retirement plan consultation, go to clearpathinvesting.com. That's clearpathinvesting.com. Or call us at 636-695-2650. That's clearpathinvesting.com or 636-695-2650. Stifel Nicholas and Company Incorporated, member SIPC and NYSE.
Got scrap metal, junk cars, or old appliances taking up space? Turn that clutter into cash. Since 1968, 21 Recycling and Scrap Metal has been the area's trusted name for recycling. We buy copper, brass, aluminum cans, scrap iron, wheels, catalytic converters, AC units, water heaters, washers, dryers, and yes, junk cars too. With our brand new truck scale on premises, getting paid is fast and easy. Old Highway 21 by Highway M or 21-recycling.com.
The Morning News Dump, brought to you by Mario's Donut Restaurant. Love the music you hear on the morning show? Check out Mike's morning music playlist at newstalkstl.com.
How can you not love the music we play on the morning show?
Naturally, this is the #1 requested song
Of
for
course.
this week's theme of protest songs. And I mean, not only is it a great song, but this just makes you want to get up and go do something, doesn't it?
It does. We're not going to take it.
We're not going to take your data centers, Billy.
That's right.
We're not going to take it. We're not going to take it. Twisted Sister, right?
Oh, of course.
Okay. Well, you know, there's a lot going on, of course, in the news. Tragic news yesterday about Kyle Busch passing away, kind of unexpectedly, only 41 years old, NASCAR driver. And then, of course, there's this horrific story out of California with a Trump supporter, the guy at the Trump house, being beaten. And Congress didn't get the job done. So we're going to go through a news dump and kind of talk about those stories.
The Morning News Dump.
Are you joking? Is this a joke?
Listen, folks, the Morning News Dump.
All right. I will confess, I am not a big NASCAR person. I'm not opposed to it. I just don't follow it very closely. But I certainly was familiar with the name Kyle Busch. And when I saw, first there was a headline that he was having serious health issues and his family was asking for privacy. And I was like, oh, that sounds serious. And then came the headline that he had passed away yesterday at the age of 41. And I still haven't looked and see what if they said. It sounded like he had a severe respiratory illness or...
Yeah, something like that. I saw it last night that he passed away, and it just said he went in the hospital for severe illness. But yeah, I mean, I remember when I was slowly being a little too busy on Sundays to watch NASCAR, Kyle Busch was first coming on, and I was like, yeah, 41. Oh, he must have died in a car accident. Like, that was my first thought. He died in a racing accident. Like, whoa, no, some severe illness. Like, that shocks you.
Yeah, it does. Very, very sad, very tragic. And I mean, I assume at some point we may learn a little bit more about that. But yeah, I mean, that's a big hit for the NASCAR world and very sad. Not to be the bearer of bad news, but there is some bad news going on out there. So I don't know if you guys saw this story. There is a Trump supporter who kind of has what's referred to as the Trump house. He's like, he had a house that I think it's in like the San Diego area that's like decked out in like pro-Trump, signs. So a neighbor basically beat him to within an inch of his life. I mean, he's hanging on, but I don't know that they think he's going to actually survive. The 69-year-old man. Yeah, 69-year-old man. Okay, so the wife of the elderly San Diego man who was brutally beaten outside his MAGA-inspired Trump house said there's no hope for her husband after the vicious attack left him fighting for his life. Carrie Sharon, 69, was in critical condition following the violent assault outside his Escondido property on Wednesday afternoon. His wife, Maria, revealed through tears that her husband isn't expected to survive. The alleged assailant, 32-year-old Escondido resident Thomas Caleb Butler, was arrested on attempted murder charges and faces life in prison if convicted. So we don't yet know like what, precipitated this.
Right.
Did he just go over there and beat him up, or was there some sort of, words exchange? We don't know all the background there. But the bottom line is this man's fighting for his life, and it does not sound like he's going to survive.
No, it's distressing, right? I mean, there's an assumption there because of who the guy is that maybe it has to do with something political, right?
Mm-hmm.
And if that is true, like just the continued escalation of
we're seeing it over and over
of violence in little ways and big ways, it's all a frightening trend,
It is, and I it should be just sort of one of those things that everybody can get on the same page with. Violence isn't the answer. Political violence isn't the answer. Violence isn't how we solve our political disputes. And yet, for instance, the Charlie Kirk assassination really highlighted the fact that there is a not small percentage of people who are like, well, yeah, I mean, it's wrong. I mean, he should have been assassinated. But, and there's that but.
Right.
And it's like, no, you just end the sentence after assassinated. Like,
yeah.
There is no but there. You can disagree with someone in like as vehemently as possible, but beating them up, shooting them isn't the answer.
Right. I mean, I've got a couple of folks that that are legislators that are in Jefferson County. One of them in particular, like this person, like something, their spouse did something very terrible to them. And I'm like, listen, like that is bad. No human deserves that. But I still think you are like terrible at your job, right? Like you can separate those without crossing these lines of taking away people's humanity in it.
Yep. Well, apparently there's a lot of people who have trouble not crossing that line, and we're just seeing it. We do see it continue to escalate. So, I don't know what the answer is except God.
That's right. Yeah.
Speaking of which, okay. So I did allude to this earlier. Unfortunately, the Senate didn't get its job done. They were supposed to get reconciliation bill put together and to the president before June 1st, and this is going to, of course, fund DHS because it's still not fully funded. And deal with a few other outlying issues, but no, they're not able to get it done. And I guess they're off next week because it's the Memorial Day holiday. And I haven't looked at this real closely, but I do have to wonder if some of the issues they are having aren't because of essentially sour grapes, like Tom Tillis, who's leaving the Senate.
Mm-hmm.
Bill Cassidy lost his primary a week or two ago. John Cornyn is, just lost the president's endorsement to Ken Paxton in Texas.
Mm-hmm.
That election's coming up next Tuesday. So I'm wondering if some of the opposition and resistance in the Senate now isn't coming from people who are kind of like, kind of don't really have an incentive to play ball anymore.
Yeah, I mean, we have a long, proud tradition of the executive and legislative branches not getting along, even if it's the same party in power. And so to be able to flex that muscle is nice, but at the same time, there's some pretty important things in there that need to get funded.
Yeah.
And if you're playing, again, we talk about the Democrats, playing the shutdown game. And now are we going to play the, not funding these things game just because we're upset we didn't get an endorsement?
Maybe.
Maybe.
Well, and here's the thing. I mean, this is the reconciliation bill. So this is the one that they were going to be able to do without the Democrats,
That's
without
right.
having to worry about getting past the filibuster.
Mhm.
And yet now it seems problematic. But I don't want to end this segment on a sour note. I want to end it on a high note. So this is why I am going to mention this amazing story. Actually, Becky Noble wrote this one up. We might be cool, but no one is Johnny Joey Jones re-enlisting in the Marine Corps cool. Did you see this story?
No.
Okay, you know who Johnny Joey Jones is, right? He's a Fox commentator. He was a Marine, and he was severely injured in a IED attack in like 2011. He lost both his legs, use of one of his arms, and both of his wrists. Really, I mean, he severely injured. He has re-enlisted. Now, obviously, what he's going to be doing, like what role he's going to be doing, probably isn't going to be combat oriented.
Right.
But I think he's 41 years old, and Secretary of War Pete Hegseth swore him in, and he has reenlisted. So
That's pretty cool.
That's pretty amazing.
Thank you so much for joining us today, Billy. And
anytime.
Thank you for the breakfast sandwich.
Don't
as well.
forget, Larry Behrens is going to be filling in for Tim and Chris this afternoon.
Looking for a hardware store that treats you like family? Welcome to True Value Schneider's Hardware, your local gem in Old Town St. Peters. For over 100 years, we're proudly serve you St. Charles County, providing everything from lawn and garden supplies to plumbing and electrical. Need a bolt or fastener? We've got you covered. And don't forget, we're a steel dealership. Whether you need sales, parts, or service, ask for Charlie or Jerry when you come in. We're here to help. Call 636-278-4461 or visit us online at truevalue.com/Schneider.